let me just say that before there was a Trish Stratus, or before there was a Lita, the most sensational diva the WWF ever had was Sensational Sherri. I mean, she set the world on fire. She beat up women, and that's what I liked about it. I mean, you know, today you see these girls and they go in there and sure, it's great because the puppies are wonderful, but you know, they're more for looks than they are for really getting in there and tangling. But let me tell you something, Sensational Sherri, she had it all. She looked great, and she would whip your rear end from one end of the ring to the other. I'm telling you, she's still doing it today. Sensational Sherri, one of my all-time favorites, and one of my all-time favorite memories of a match that I had involving myself against Macho Man Randy Savage, and he had Sensational Sherri in his corner. It was a cage match down in Memphis, Tennessee, and right when things really got going really hot between the Macho Man and the King, I looked around, and what did I see? Sensational Sherri climbing up over the cage. Now, she had on this long evening gown, right? She climbed into the ring, interfered in the match, almost made Randy Savage beat me. But then, as she was trying to make her escape out of the cage, I was able to just catch a hold of that evening gown right before she went over. Well, let me just say that Sherri went over, but the evening gown stayed in my hand, and it was one of the greatest sights and greatest nights of my entire career. Okay?
All right, let's start off. We want to welcome to next installment of our shooter review series. Our guest today, Sherri Martel. First off, were you a big wrestling fan growing up?
I think no. No, I was. I hated wrestling. I really did because my mom, we were living in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and my father, he was like doing surveying, and we had to move there. But she started going to wrestling matches like on Thursday night. You know, she would go where they filmed. And did the little TV spots at the TV station the next day. So I never could understand that. So she always, you know, left me with somebody, or I was in a school or something. But no, but she started taking me, and it was just amazing. It was like an instant, you know, grab. I mean, it just grabbed me, so I started going with her every Thursday night. That was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. My first match that I ever went to, it was like a cattle auction barn. So that was really cool because, you know, you could sit up there, sit above it, and wrestlers used to throw ice and stuff at our legs. Serious, because we could hang off, you know, right there. And they'd stand in the back, and they'd throw stuff at us, look down at us, and they'd just ignore us, you know, like they didn't know what was going on. But that was a good thing. But it wound up being something that would last me the rest of my life, though. So that was cool.
Who were some of your favorite wrestlers back then as a fan?
The one, let me see. Let's see, Cowboy, what is his name? Damn, Cowboy Bob Kelly. He was the one that was on top then. Frank Dalton, Archie Golden Stomper, The Angel. Haystack's Cowpan, I met him in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I was just in awe of everybody. I didn't really know enough to have favorites and stuff at the time. So, you know, I always liked the bad guys. And I thought it was really cool when when the heels took the babyface's belt and they threw it in the river. I thought that was kind of cool. You know, and I didn't know what to think at the time. Come back to me. Come back to me.
So what finally made you decide that you wanted to get involved in the wrestling business?
Well, after I started going with my mom, I mean, I just fell in love with it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I went to, remember Bristol Smith? Okay. We saw Rock and Robin sisters, Lacey Roberts, Sam Houston, you know, they're there. So I wound up forming a friendship with him at the time. So, you know, I asked him, so what do you guys have to do to get in this business? He said, this business will eat you up and spit you out. Stay at home, just do a job, go do something. And my birds kind of loud. What? I talked to him, and he tried in every way, shape, and form. Because I was 16 years old at the time, and I told him that I wanted to be a wrestler. And he says, "Come back and talk to me when you're 21." So I did. I waited all the years. I went from, you know, from 16 to 21. I got married, had a baby, and everything else. But there was still that itch there. and I knew. And then I got a divorce, and it was on after that. So I went back to him, and I was exactly 21, and I went back to him, and I made a breakfast appointment with him, and I told him, I said, okay, I'm 21 now. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and this is what I want. Oh, thank you. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So I talked to him, and during this year, before I've been living in Memphis, so I went through a guidance school in Memphis thing for 6 years. And that was kind of crazy. That's where Lance Russell and Dave Brown and all those guys were. You know, of course, Jerry the King Lawler. Yeah, I mean, it was just a really cool territory, the first one I ever worked. But I went to Butch Moore's school, and I had $1,500 in my hand. And I walked in his office, and I told him that I wanted to be a wrestler. He looked at me. He had bleached blonde hair. I mean, but huge. I mean, he was you know, a real huge guy, but he was a beefy guy. You know, he's like 6'2". So he gets up, and he comes around the desk. And I'm standing over there. He looked me straight in the eyes, and he slapped the shit out of me so bad. And I looked at it, and I shook it off a little bit, and I said, is that all you got? So he proceeded to sign me up right there and everything, and he took my money. And after that, they just totally beat the shit out of me. They did everything possible to discourage me. Yeah, they did, yeah. And it was just a crazy thing. It taught me a lot of stuff. It taught me how to be strong. It taught me how to take guys and to learn to deal with them and work with them. If I wouldn't have went through that and some of the other things in my life, I don't think I'd have been able to last through that time. But he slapped the shit out of me. Woo! Okay.
So eventually you then ended up training with Fabulous Moolah also. How did that?
Well, after I went through that year and ouch, you dickhead. Don't do that to me. I'm going to put you in the microwave. Wet, and then put chocolate on you. I went and I had another breakfast after I went. I was in Memphis working for a year, and so I was considered not as thin at the time. But I've been trained by the men, and the men worked from the left, and the women worked from the right. You know, so I had to go to Moolah. I thought, well, let me get something. So I made another breakfast with Grizzly, and I said, look, I've been working for the last year. And I said, when I was 16, you told me to grow up and come back when I was 21. I'm 21 now. And I said, I still want to wrestle. I just, you know, I've been in the independent, you know, for the last year. I've been, you know, I've been starting, so I know a little bit. So I want to go to Moolah now. So he went right there from breakfast, and we called Moolah. And he set it up with Lillian so I could go over there. I took a bus over there. They picked me up, and they moved me into when I went into the place, it's like going on to Moolah Hill is really strange because everybody in Columbia, you know, knows that it's a training camp, but you go in there and it's called Moolah Hill. So you go in, as you're coming into the gate, there's these big old walls. So you go into the gate and you look to the left, you know, there's a little house over there in this big old lake. There's 2 lakes on either side. And you look to the right and there's Moo Moo's big old house up there. So her and Donnie Cristantello and the little midget Katie, they were the ones all living there. And Moolah was going out with this guy at the time, and she called him Daddy. I could never in my life figure out why Moolah called this man Daddy. I mean, his name was Dorval. I mean, he wanted to be a country and western star. The only thing I could figure out, you know, because he didn't last with Lillian long enough. He was a good entertainment for the boys, because when Lillian would take them on the road, they'd go in the car in the room with the boys, and start playing cards. They take every one of his money every time, and Lillian would get so mad about that. And Moo Moo got real mad, huh? But it was just so funny. Daddy. Why Daddy? I mean, sounds like something you call a sugar daddy or something, you know what I mean? or something you call a significant other. I just never could conceive Dorval and Lillian being significant others to each other. They just beyond me. What?
So I was training with her as compared to training with Butch. Was she just as tough, or was?
Well, no, she wasn't. But she told me that I was gonna have to forget everything the guys were talking. I was gonna have to learn how to work girls' way. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'll get back here, okay? But I mean, so she wanted us in the gym every morning at 7 o'clock. So we were usually in there from like 7 o'clock till noon. And it was, ow, dang it, quit biting my toe. Quit, that ain't a toy. We go in, we come down okay, I was telling you, like, Mullah's Camp, you go in the gate, and there's 2 gates on either side, and you go down this little path right there, and you go up, and there's houses, like little cottages up there. So that's where all the girls lived at. So they'd get me, and I was working nighttime, you know, try to get some extra money, because I still had bills to pay, and it wasn't starting to pay off yet. But she wanted us down there at 7 o'clock every morning. I'm telling you, there were some mornings that I would have rather taken a physical beating, which most of the time I did, than go down there and work out. I mean, that was just, I wasn't a morning person then at all. None, not at all. But we would go down there, and this, I'm thinking, this is like late September, early November. So went down there and trained, and but got there, and she wanted us there at 7 o'clock every morning to 12, and then while we were in there, you know, we'd go through through all our drills and everything. But she would she'd always put somebody in there to do the push-ups. I mean, but it was a good thing because it made me become versatile, because anything anybody's able to throw at me now, no matter if I talk to them or not, you know, I'm able to work with them. So there was a lot of ad-libbing that, you know, really, really early, you know, stage in my career. But as far as the training, I mean, there's no better place to train, and the thing that is bad in this business today is there's no place, a particular women's place for girls to train, which makes it really hard for them to get out there and, you know, get anything going whatsoever.
Was there anybody else who trained with you at the time, like anybody else?
I remember, Lonnie Kai was my roommate. Wendy Richter was still there. Her and Joyce Grable, they were roommates. Judy Martin was there. Candy Kane was there. I don't know what happened to her. She was a local girl from Columbia. She was there. Most of the girls have been in the business for a while. That's where we lived at. I mean, she took 25% of our bookings, which I thought that's something. You know, that was just my opinion. I just never liked giving somebody else money when I get out there and work my ass off for it, you know. I never thought I needed an agent, because I thought, you know, who could you know, sell me better than I could sell myself. That's not always the best case for me.
Early on in your career, then you got to wrestle over in Japan. How did that come about?
Well, I went to her in like September, and she sent me to Japan in January and February. I think it was 80. It was 80 or 81. It was one. I think it was 81. Yeah, maybe. But when I first went over there, right before I went, she told me that I was going. I said, "What the hell am I going to Japan for? You know, I ain't even, you know, gotta wait. Leave my toes alone, man. Leave my toes alone. If you're gonna step here, behave." She told me that I was going, so this was probably like right after Thanksgiving. So I had like a month and a half to think about it. And I had never been out of the States or nothing like that. And I had no idea. I mean, no idea whatsoever. So I went with Judy Martin the first time, and she, you know, she was packing all of this stuff. Pack your coffee enough to last you for 2 months. Pack a lot of books. So we were getting books like this, that. So I didn't know the significance of that until I got over there. But we packed and everything. And I remember Christmas, I was there with Doris. She didn't last. She was what was his name out of Atlanta. Ken Timms. It was his sister. But she didn't last very long. Her and I were out in the gym Christmas Eve. But first we were up at the house, we were thinking, well, damn, you know, I said, Christmas Eve, this sucks. Everybody else is going home but us, and we're getting ready to go to Japan. So I said, hey, Doris, if we're going to get down here, we had a few cocktails. You know, I ain't going to lie to you. We had a few cocktails. We're sitting up there, and you know, it's 2 women talking. If we're going to be in this business, let's go work out. After having a few cocktails, which is not a good thing to do. So we're trying to impress Molly, you know how dedicated we are and everything. We're trying to put our little 2 cents and everything in there. So Donna Christian Challen and Katie the Midget, you know, they were all down there. So, you know, we figured, you know, we had to go ask permission to go in the gym. So we just went in the gym. So we're in there doing a few things and, you know, taking a bunch of bumps around. And then Moolah walks in with Donna Christian Tello. So they're walking up there endorsing us, so we're trying to ignore them, you know. We're just trying to, you know, yeah, we ain't got a mind on you, you know. So I'm thinking, I said, this is my chance, because I've been working on that splat, you know, that giant splash for the top rope. And don't forget, I had a few cocktails, okay? So, as you know, and Moolah's ring, you know, it was a regular small ring, and it was in a barn, a big old barn. I mean, there was about this much space, you know, from from ringside, you know, to the wall over here. I mean, if you hit the ropes too hard, you know, you take a bump in the head real easy. So we're getting up in there. So, you know, I did a couple of things to Doris, you know, and gave her a body. And so I go crawl up on the damn top rope. Moolah and Donna sitting back here looking on. What are they doing? And don't forget the cocktail. So I get up on that damn top rope. So, you know, I spread my arms real wide. And I took a nice sleep, boy. And I went up. And then I went down. So everything was cool. I didn't turn my head, and I knocked my damn nose back to my head. I'm serious. I saw stars. Blood started coming up my nose and everything else. And I looked up at Doris and I said, "Gee, this is the last fucking time I'll ever have a couple of cocktails before we go to work." I said, "This is a hell of a way to start before you go to Japan." But we did that. She took us in the house. And I'll never forget, she went, after I had my nose bloody, she come in the house, she looked at my nose, she says, "You're going to be all right." And she starts doing this number. And I said, "Leave it alone, just leave it alone, Lily." So we wound up sitting there playing cards. Lillian wants us to play cards half of the night, you know, and we definitely do not want to play cards all night long. So we wound up going back up to the house, and we were proceeding to, you know, she was, you know, kind of help watching me while I was packing to go to Japan and everything else. And I didn't know why I was taking all this stuff. She gave me a list. And she told me this is what, you know, what I was supposed to take. And I said, okay, you know, I had a lot of respect for her. She'd been in the business and a hell of a worker. You know, so I figured she knew what she was doing. And I was so green. I mean, to me, I was still green. I would like to have had more experience, but, you know, I could only go as quick as, you know, I could go. But I got all the stuff together and everything, and I was scared shitless. I really was, because I had no idea what I was getting into. Got off the Japan, got off the plane in Japan, and I had to go through customs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm walking around. I mean, I had no idea everybody was so short over there. I mean, everybody, you walk around, everybody was short. And Moolah at the time, she made me dye my hair red. I was waiting for fucking Bugs Bunny to come up and take a bite out of the top of my head. I'm serious. I felt like a fucking carrot. I'm serious. It was the stupidest looking hairdo, henna red. Why she wanted my hair henna red, I have no idea. But as soon as I got back, a month after I was in Japan, I found some hair color and I put it back dark. But it was, Japan was great. It was a great culture shock when I first got there, because I had no idea. And I tell them I wanted to cook my eggs, you know, over medium. You know, it's either raw or burnt over there. You know, there's no in between. And I was trying to get the chef at the hotel to say, let me go back to the kitchen. I said, I know how to cook. Okay, let me show you. Let me in your kitchen. He says, no. The Japanese people, they got one way. Stop it. They got one way of doing things, and that's their way. And if you divert from that in any way, shape, or form, it just throws them all into all kind of chaos. They never let me go back in the kitchen, but they did burn my eggs for me. You know, so that wound up being a cool thing.
How many tours of Japan did you ever end up doing? Did you go back a lot?
Let's see, I went when I first got in 80, then I went back in 86 when I was working for AWA. And I went back a couple of times for independence. One for Carmine out of Milwaukee. I went back while I was with WCW and with WWF. So that was when I was working for the bigger companies. That's when I did more of my European tours.
Back then in the early 80s, back in the States, like women's matches were more an attraction.
Yeah,
they kind of have an attraction. So you probably got to travel around a lot of different territories.
Yeah, well, all the territories were pretty much up and going. You know, Vince wasn't the only game in town.
Pre-Vince,
yeah, Caesar. Hell, Caesar. But it was strange because women were always considered novelties, just like midgets, you know, because it was totally unheard of to bring a woman in and do an angle with a woman in the business. I mean, because they were there for a few weeks, you know, they did the loop and then they were out. You know, they thought was, you know, if you have somebody in there all the time, if you have a woman in there, they're definitely not going to draw. Oh God, they're definitely not going to draw. You know, so I had a little bit of resentment toward that aspect of the business. I mean, respectfully, it's a male-dominated business. It's always going to be there. But men, you need women. You definitely need women. Remember, behind every smart man, there is always a smarter woman. Isn't that right, Billy Bob? Yeah. 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 Okay.
So what was the travel like back then? Was it pretty rough having to territory to territory? Or?
Yeah, it was, because you didn't fly back then. Most of the time, we all got in a car and we drove. And after I got back from Japan the first time, we were going to work in the territory. And so we drove from Columbia, down to Nashville, and then to Memphis, and then we did the loop. Of course, I got hurt in a back of oil there, so I was out for a little while. But it was amazing. It was amazing because this one girl, Big Suzanne, she was a tall lady. I mean, she was a damn Amazon. She was 6 foot. I mean, God, Vivian St. John. Remember her? On Amazon. How can you not remember her? How old are you? 30. You're a tadpole. You are. You're just a tadpole. Remember Vivian St. John. How can anybody forget? She was the tallest woman in wrestling. She was like 6'1", 6'2". I am brilliant. What Lillian's thoughts were, she was going to eventually, because Vivian and I were kind of alike. I was just shorter than she was. But anyway, Lillian and her thought she was going to make us a tag team. Of course, that never come about. But Big Suzanne had this, I think it was a damn Mustang, and you put 4 nice-sized girls, in this little bitty car. You ever rode in the back of, you're a nice-sized guy, try to get in the back of a damn Mustang and ride it for 300-something miles. I'm not kidding. And then she wouldn't let us smoke in the car. Yes, I smoke. I smoke cigarettes. Yes, I do. I don't care what anybody says. When it's my time to quit, I'll quit. Otherwise, everybody else, you got your own vices. I don't come in your ground and in your space and tell you, don't do this, don't do that. So stay the hell out of mine. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll name a couple women back from that era if you just want to give thoughts, stories, memories. Like Leilani Kai.
Oh, she was amazing. I mean, I'm serious, and she had. I mean, she was one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best women's technical wrestlers there ever has been. Because she had so much love for the business, and still does. That when she go to Japan and stuff, when the Japanese girls will get there, but they have their own. They set up their own tent. They had their own lighting and stuff like that. They in the summertime, they just take a tent on the road, and it would always be outside shows. Well, as soon as we get to the town, all the girls will go put the ring and everything up. The girls did all this. I mean, they had some help, but they put the ring up and everything. Just like the stage. And but she would go, and they would have their workouts and everything, and she would go and work out with them. What I'm sorry about is I didn't do the same. That's where I was not as smart as she was. I just got my experience working night to night. I did not take the time, which was my fault. And if I could change something, I would change that. Because I'm serious. Those young girls are young, but they're hungry. They're perfectionists. Leilani would get in there, and she would work out hours and hours and hours with them. That girl could work circles around most women in the business today. I'm serious. With all due respect, the women, they got their tits. They got them, and they're paid for it. God bless them. But I tell you what, the girls that came into business, it's just a different mental attitude as opposed to what it is now. But Leilani, she could work circles around any woman in the business now.
Another woman you touched on earlier, Judy Martin.
Judy. Oh, she's a policeman in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, she is. But, she was always kind of an aggressive lady, so she was cool. But she told me, we were laying in the hotel room, and they in Japan, and they put us on the top floor. There was 2 floors, I think. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but we were way the hell high up there. But I can remember the building swayed. And I thought that was kind of, I'd never been a state, so I didn't go in any high rises or nothing like that. So we're laying in the bed one day, and I hear this, everything starts to warm, and I'm thinking my precious coffee that she told me to bring with me. That stuff costs about $2 a cup over there. I'm not kidding. So we had to get some. It's a good thing I did bring some. No, baby. But we're laying in the bed, and it's starting to rumble, and everything's starting to shake a little bit. And I said, what in the hell is going on? So I'm looking around and everything, so I get, and I take the damn stairs all the way down, to the front deck, and I said, what's going on? The building's moving. It's earthquake tremor. And I said, oh my God. And I said, not only am I in a foreign country and I can't speak the language, and I've got to be very selective about the food I eat. Beer's great, sake's great. The majority of the company's great as long as you got an interpreter, but the damn building is shaking. It's one of those things you have no control over whatsoever, and it just scares the ever-loving hell out of you. So I'm going up there, and I said, oh my God, they've taken my passport. There's no way I can get out of here. And Judy Barton's sitting over there, and she looks at me, and she says, you will never make it in this business. And after that, she told me that one night. And she said, you don't adapt well to foreign cultures, and you don't adapt well with people taking your money for your business. And I said to myself, well, I'm going to prove her wrong. And it was at that point in time that I realized that I would pretty much do whatever I had to do, as long as I didn't have to go outside of my boundaries. Which I've been really lucky because, nobody's asked me to do that. But it was just good, and I think it was that motivation that she gave me that kept me going all these years, because I remember it so clearly, and I can remember her face. Damn cigarette hanging out. You won't fucking make it. You won't fucking make it. I'll give you 2 years with the song. Guess what, Judy? I'm still here. Yeah. We're still here, aren't we? Still going strong, aren't we? Yeah. Okay.
Another one. How about Wendy Richter?
Wendy. Wendy and Joyce Grable were roommates. And Wendy was always a country girl. She liked her beer, and she had that remarkable face, with full lips, and I thought she always fixed her hair so pretty. But gosh, she was a character. I used to always watch her. I wasn't privileged to go out with them. Now Joyce would loan me her car every once in a while, so I could go out, but I couldn't go out with those guys. I mean, they were so totally different, So I was just kind of, I said, well, hell, someday I'll have that privilege. But what wound up happening, Wendy wound up working for WWF, of course, and all the thing going on with Captain Lee Albano, and what was her name? Cindy Lauper, and all of those guys. All of that started happening, of course, by that time. After I got hurt in Memphis, I wasn't. After I came back to Japan, I didn't go back to English school after that. So, I kind of lost track of everybody, but I was able to watch on TV what was going on. But Wendy got, I think she got to a point in the business where she, how can I say this? She got to a point where, from what I was told, that she was hard to deal with, and she started making outrageous demands. And with Vince McMahon, you don't do that. And with Moolah, you don't do that, especially when you're working her. You don't do that. You do what you're damn well told, hon. I'm serious, or you get the shit beat out of you. She beat shit out of me many, many nights. I'm not kidding. You don't tell them no. You're under contract, you're working for the man. It's his promotion. You do what you're told, even to this day.
Then in the mid-'80s, pretty much a big break, you went to AWA for Vern.
Yeah.
How'd that all come about, and the whole... He brought you in, gave you a big push, and title on you, and...
Yeah. Well, there's kind of a story behind that. Well, I was living in Nashville at the time. So it was, let me see, Debbie Combs and I, we were going up for show meeting, and so we upgraded to first class. And, it cost us, $75. We had the little frequent flyer. No, it wasn't. They were sold out in damn coach. from Nashville to Minneapolis. That's how we got up in first class. So they had, they had, who was on the damn plane? It wasn't Murdoch. Oh God, who was on that damn plane? It'll come to me in a minute. Stan Hansen. It was Stan Hansen on the plane because he was on the same show that we were at in Minneapolis. So we're all on the plane and everything. We got there. We got our little cocktails, and so we got Debbie Combs. She's sitting on the other side of me over there. So every time, and everybody knows it when you sit in first class, you get free booze, right? So every time Debbie would get up and go to the bathroom, I would put more vodka and her orange juice. I'm not kidding. So by the time we got to Minneapolis, she's pretty well tanked. I mean, I did that a few times. So I sit there having my husband watch it. She couldn't figure out why she was getting, so loaded so quick. So when you drink, that's one cocktail on the plane, it's up in the air, it's like drinking two. So you get a double whammy, and then Sherry's sitting there, putting a little bit over every time she turns her head. And then we got Stan Hansen sitting in the back. We're up here, eating, almonds and stuff like that. So we said, okay, so we're gonna get Hansen. So we kind of, got pushed the curtain back a little bit, and we sent him back a couple of beers, and we sent him back, some cashews. He said, "Goddamn girls get to sit up in first class. The only thing I got to do is fuck." So it was so funny. So we sent him a couple of cocktails back there, and sent him some almonds and stuff, and it was so funny. And he saw what I was doing to Debbie Combs, and he was laughing. That's awesome. But we got to Minneapolis, got off the plane. We're actually staggering off the plane a little bit. Debbie Combs more so than me, and I got her so good. Oh, it was so funny. Larry Zabisco was meeting us at the airport. Okay, so Larry, we walked off the plane, and he was laughing his ass off. So Hanson, not so much as Debbie. God bless her. I'm serious. She says, "Larry, Sherry got me fucked up." How she said that. I said, "I don't know how I got this way, but I got a big feeling Sherri Martel had something fucking to do with it." So we get off the plane. That's fine. We get all our baggage, and we get in Zabisco's car. We get there, and we go to the arena that night. So we get to the arena and everything, and we go, just go out for a match, and Debbie's real drunk. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. We get to the Minneapolis right before we got to go to the arena right after. So Debbie's still nice and drunk. So we get to the, God bless. Oh man, we get to the arena and it's time for the match, and we get in there, we're doing the match. Debbie gets sick and macked. She went under the ring and threw up. I mean, I was going around all of us. I couldn't figure out what the shit was happening to her. She went up throwing up under the ring. So I pulled her right out by the leg. She said, "God damn it, Martel, leave the fuck alone. You got me drunk. Now I'm sick, and you wouldn't even let me have a little bit of dignity and throw up under the ring." Oh, it was so funny. But we got through that match. Oh, God. Larry Zabisco, started talking, we became friends. And after that show, I had a meeting a couple of days later with Vern. And so Zabisco's in there, so I made sure I wore a tight pair of pants. I had a little bit of cleavage showing. But, I was, I ain't bad looking shit. I'm not. If I was a guy, I'd go out with me. I'm serious. I went, "Yeah, you're shaking your head." But it was funny. So going to Vern's office, he's giving me the up and down, So, I'm, all respectful. I'm being very respectful and everything. So I go over there, and so I kind of go over there, and wait a minute. Can I get up here? Billy Bob, can I get up? Okay. So I'm getting over there, and we're looking. Okay, now he's got an aquarium in his office, so remember, I got a tight pair of green jeans on. So I go over there, and I'm bending over like this, and I'm looking. And so Larry Zabisco's saying to Vern, "See, she's got what it takes." And after that, it was on after that. It was. He looked at Larry and says, "You really think she can do it?" And Larry says, "Yeah." So we get up to Vern's. Get up there. He says, "Now, are you willing to go under contract?" And I said, "I'm willing to move up here." And he said, "Okay, we'll give it a shot." So we moved up to AWO, and it was on after that. Oh, it was on after that. Yeah.
So what was it like working for Vern there?
Jesus, God! God, can't you get anything right? Do I have to sit here and babysit you 24/7? We would be in there, okay, we would do interviews for like 30 markets, okay? Okay, for all you people don't know what markets are, these are towns where you come to see us wrestle, okay? All right. So we get up there and we be doing, Vern went there all day long. So everything was going smooth. Everything was going smooth. Everybody's getting their interviews and everything down. But that was when we had to do 2.5 minute interviews. And to keep, you had to keep talking for 2.5 minutes. You know what I'm talking about. So we get up there and we have the markets done. We have maybe 1 or 2 markets left. In walks Vern. Hi guys, how's it going today? First interview started. Jesus, guys, do I have to be here? Can't you even do an interview without me in the room? Vern always had something. God bless his soul. He wouldn't have been in the business he was in and been successful at it for so long if he didn't know what he was doing. And but Vern had his way that he wanted things done, like every promoter does. But that was okay. So we go back and we read these interviews. Time after time after time after time again. It got to a point where I wanted to take down masking tape and sit Vern down and masking tape his mouth shut. But, I was thinking this, but no, God forbid, I didn't say it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't do that. You don't do that. So we would just suck it all up, and all the guys, let's see, was Kevin Kelly there, the Rockers, they were there at the time, but Dutch Summer, Buddy Rose, Nick Bockwinkel, Kurt Hennig, Scott Hall, just a totally different. When I was living there, I was living in the same apartment complex as Scott Hall, and Buddy Rose and Colonel DeBeers lived right over, it was like kind of like the, let's see, what is that show on television where it's got with Heather Locklear? What's the name of that show? Yeah, you know how the complex is, and they got the little shop in the middle? Well, that's how ours was. So I would always cook a lot more, than I could eat myself. And I knew if I opened the door, I knew the guys open, the windows open. So I knew that the food smell was going to go around the court. So I opened the doors, I'd get it going real good. And no matter what I was cooking, so I'd make sure that the doors were open. After a while, you could look up there, and you see Scott Hall checking everything out. He's looking around. So I got there and I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And he said, "What you cooking?" So knowing what it took, everybody always had plenty to eat. I was never lack for company because he was always coming over. Colonel DeBeers and Buddy Rose, oh God, him and his Sherri Martel blow-away diet. What a concept that was. God bless him. But he was so funny, and to be so big, he was so agile. Oh God, I used to get really mad at him because he come to the arena a little messed up one night, and I was scared because there was a lot of snow and stuff up there, and when you're working with a tag team, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry, but when you're working with a tag team, everybody has to be there, the three, so it's Doug and Buddy and myself. So, but Doug and Buddy we got to the arena one night, and Buddy was messed up, so he rode up there with this lady, but he didn't go back with the lady. He wound up going back with us. So I was mad at him. So there was it was myself. Doug was in the band. Larry Zabisco was in the band. Colonel DeBeers and myself. So we were all mad at Buddy. So what we did was we kept, we started telling Buddy, what an asshole he was and everything else. He's jeopardizing everybody's business. So we got mad at Buddy, and we kept telling him, he'd keep running his mouth. So he'd keep running his mouth, keep running. You know how Buddy is. He'd start keep running that mouth and saying all kinds of stuff. Quit trying to undress me. Quit. Oh, come on, get up there. I see you're gonna rake all my shoulders. But we get into the car, get in the van, we're going down the road, and it was snowing and it was cold. So we're trying to work it so Buddy, think he's really cool, start stripping. So we got into the point where he was taking his jacket off. He didn't have how. Yeah. Where you going? Come back here. Come here. Come on, get on. So we get on the van and everything, and Buddy starts taking his jacket off. So I pull over to the side of the road, and all the boys push Buddy out. So we start driving on a little bit, and it's snowing. It's snowing. It's cold in Minneapolis when it snows at night. This was after the show. After he come in late, and everybody else was worried about him. What are you laughing for? I'm serious. We put his ass out. And it was so, we went about half a mile up. When we go back, boy, he was cussing. He said, fucking Sherri Martel thing. I mean, he was cussing me at one side and down the other. He said, do not jeopardize our career. I mean, Doug Summer was there, and we're all there, and we all looked at him. Do not jeopardize our careers. I mean, this is important. This is what put the food on our table. This is what paid everybody child support. I mean, this was our job, you know, and we just at that point, you know, we were kind of tight, so nobody wanted anybody to screw up. So, you know, everybody would, you know, be all right. TVs would go good, you know. But, buddy, God. I mean, what a... And Doug Summer, Sherri. I mean, I could sit down and talk to God. God bless him for hours and hours, and sometimes you still can't. It's like talking with Terry Funk. I sit down and have a conversation with Terry Funk. I said, no joke. I'm not joking. I sit down and have a conversation with Terry Funk for 3 hours. I can get up and scratch my head. Okay. He didn't slap me, so everything must be okay. But I never figured out why I sat down and talked to him for 3 hours about God bless.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh, man. Still in AWA. Back when you first went in, like, the feuded you signed up with Candy Divine. You did a couple title changes. How was Candy? What's on her?
Candy, I did a lot independent with Candy before I went to AWA because I was living in Nashville. Okay, Candy Divine. Okay, I won my first title for her at Kaminsky Park. Okay, that was cool. You know, no problems there. But it got, when you're working with Candy, Candy like takes these baby steps, and she's, you know, she's a nice sized lady. She's a nice sized lady. So when you get in the ring with Candy, you push her up against ropes and you throw her in. And she's taking these baby steps. Get up there for me. Let me show you. This Candy Divine. This Candy Divine. She hit the ropes. And I'm serious. That's how she goes. And she'll go like that and hit the other rope. And me, I'm long legs, so I'm taking these long strides, you know, and trying to get to her. And she always showed my damn timing off. I'm serious. And she's taking because her momentum wasn't going, so it's kind of hard for me to get shit going with her sometimes. But it wound up being cool because, I mean, it is, you know, 2001, well, fixing to get into 2002. She's still kicking, still doing them damn things. Still, but, you know, she's come along a long way. She left me in her bleeding one night. She did. She was, what was that guy? She was chasing after Stan Lane. I mean, she was hopelessly in love with him. She really was. I'm not kidding. She was so in love with him and so blinded. Blinded by the light that she left me at the building that night. I'm serious. I had to ride back for the ring crew. My little roommate, Tina Maria, at the time, where she's ready to tear Candy a new asshole. How could you possibly leave her? I mean, what's up with that? I mean, she lived in Candy real bad. Maybe it's like Candy never left anything. But I stayed mad at her for years for that. I was thinking, and one day I finally told her, I said, look, I'm tired of being mad at you. I said, you were a fucking bitch for leaving me at that ring and chasing that. I said, please. I said, don't do that to nobody. I said, I'm a beautiful girl. Don't leave me. I mean, I've been carrying this shit around for years. I'm just at least 10, if not 15. I said, I'm tired of being mad at you. She said, finally, I apologize. So I said, okay, fine. So I did. Yeah, so it was all cool then, yeah. But it was all kid. I'm just kidding. I mean, she's a party girl too. You know, she likes to go out and have a good time, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. Not a thing wrong with it, as long as you keep everything in its right context.
It was around this time then when, along with the wrestling, Vern made you a manager, like you said, with Buddy Rose. And
yeah.
Were you happy with the man? I mean, or did you want to stay with the wrestling, or what made him decide to use you as a manager?
What made him decide? Because I learned how to do interviews, and I learned how to talk and carry a storyline on camera, and do it in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2.5 minutes. And I was able to do that where, Buddy and Doug, I've always thought that promoters put managers or valets with someone because they were weak, but that was not true. That was definitely not true. So that was the wrong concept. You know, I thought on my part to begin with. But I learned to do the interviews, and what happened was I learned to compliment the tag team that I was with at the time, which was Buddy and Doug. And I knew that if I did not utilize every aspect of the business that was available to me, that I would never last. How many women have you seen that could do interviews? Not many. Then I think that was Larry Zbyszko and Nick Bockwinkel. I mean, everybody that was in the territory at that time helped me at one time or another. I mean, with the interviews, I'd get in front of a mirror and I'd cut an interview and I'd try to keep it, and I would have like a tape recorder, you know, where I could listen to myself back and to where I could fine tune it up. But it took me a while to learn to do the interviews. But once I figured out storylines, once I put the storylines together, it was so much easier. I mean, it's like following the same recipe in a cookbook. I mean, if you follow the directions, how can you possibly screw up? When you've got legendary people like Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, Vern Gagne, Ray the Crippler Stevens, Wahoo McDaniel. I used to call him Wahoo. I really did. I'm serious, because when you get him on Jack Daniels, you go, Wahoo! I mean, he was so cool. Him and Ray Stevens, I used to go out drinking with him sometimes after we get through with the interviews. Oh, man. I mean, and they could put away some booze. And I could sit and I could listen to them tell stories for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I would just sit there and just keep my mouth shut. I mean, I was just listening. And they were just phenomenal. But Ray would get me back there in that office. And he would help me, like, when I was weak on a certain part of my interviews, he would always help me with it. And he always went back and listened to him, and he always pulled me back into that office, and always respected me and helped me. That's how I refined. And Larry Zbyszko and Nick Bockwinkel, you know, they both did the same. So with all of these people, you know, helping me out there, how can I go wrong? You know, I mean, it's kind of hard to be a failure when you got so many positive people around you pointing you in a positive direction. I mean, the only reason that could not turn out positive was because you didn't want it to. Of course, that wasn't what I wanted, so it was on.
From the AWA territory, I'll throw out a couple names from your thought stories. So, first off, the guys you married, Buddy and Doug.
Buddy and Doug. Oh, God. I mean, when Doug Summer got married to Bambi, I was maid of honor at their wedding. I mean, and that was a beautiful wedding. Of course, everybody came and we had a good time. I couldn't figure out why they got married though at that time. They've been living together forever and ever. You know, they taught me more at that time. They were there. I mean, they included me in the beginning. They didn't. You know, I kind of had to be pushy, you know, because I wanted to be involved. I wanted to know what was going on with the match. I wanted to know every little aspect of it, and you know, until when they got used to me and knew that I wasn't trying to take the spotlight away from them, then you know they kind of took me in a little bit more, and they realized that I wasn't trying to do anything but help them. And then Vern said, "You guys got to work together." You know, so what you're supposed to do, you get along and you work together. If you got people that work as a cohesive unit, then you got a positive turnout. Doug and Buddy, I mean, there was nothing that they would not let me do. But I knew my place. I was a manager. My job was to be at ringside, take the crowd's attention when those guys were in there doing their thing and taking a rest. But at the same time, never take the main attention away from them. Never take the focus. The stars in the ring are always the focus. You never take attention away from them until it's your time. And if you screw up, believe me, they let you know that you screwed up. I mean, I used to take tongue lashings, guys, because I didn't have my timing down right or something. I would do something in the wrong spot. I mean, and that literally ripped me a new asshole.
How about Vern's son, Greg Gagne?
Greg to me, I mean, Vern Gagne was such a legend, and he built up such a reputation for himself as a promoter and as a wrestler. I mean, he's like an icon. I mean, he's legendary. And those are really, really, really big boots to try to follow in. And Greg was not even as big as his dad. But he was, the thing that I remember about Greg the most is that he had this little thing as guy, and it's his dad. But, and he thought he was sexy. I'm serious, he thought he was sexy. So Greg's got this little gimmick. Of course, that's not counting his little girlfriend he has in Milwaukee too, and he got all kind of shit. So I can't get in trouble for telling you guys that. I mean, that's everybody knows about his girlfriend. But I'm serious, Greg would get out there and he said, and I guess he thought that was cool or something. But it looked kind of obnoxious, you know. Because Greg's sister Kathy. I mean, Kathy's beautiful. I mean, and you know, she's very graceful and everything. And maybe I think if Greg would have had a few more pounds on him, that he could have done. He could have went a lot further than he did. You know, because he was a smaller guy. You know, he just wasn't able to get that big push that he always wanted.
About Shawn Michaels back at that time, I mean, when he was just, you know, wrestling with Marty.
I used to get mad at him. I really did, because we got thrown out of more hotels because of them. I mean, they go down to the bar at night, you know, have a few cocktails. I mean, you got to realize, I mean, these are all young kids. They're still in their 20s. They're young and dumb, and boy, they're ready to go. They're raring and ready to go. And they as a tag team, they were unbeatable, and they were just so good. Of course, I got to see it from the beginning, you know, up until now.
Yeah.
And it is such a difference. In no way, shape, or form did it ever enter my mind that I would later on down the road work with them too at another time.
Yeah.
I mean, that never crossed my mind. So I was still on all of it, you know, just going around. I was basically focused on the here and now and what was happening in the AWA. Shawn was so good. They had I gotta tell you the story. It's not too nice, but I'm gonna tell you the story. Okay, a new guy comes in, Gary, not Gary DeRusso, but there was another guy that came in the office, and he was a brand new guy and everything. It's his birthday, so the Rockers call in a stripper. So you know, they're all back there. This is on a Tuesday when we were doing interviews, so everybody was there. I mean, everybody was there. Yeah, you weren't. But so we're doing interviews and everything else, and then the guys bring in this big boom box. So I said, okay, well, this is something kind of different. Maybe they're going to do it new angle, you know, for an interview or something, play music, you know. I mean, we were always trying something new. I mean, there was no bounds. So we would try anything, you know, and of course back then it was we could ad lib a lot. We could, as long as we stayed with the storyline, we could always ad lib a lot. So we were doing a lot of that, and everybody was in a really good mood that day. I mean, Vern popped in and he gave us the G's, guys, and then walked out. So we're getting so here comes the boom box. So Sean comes over to me. He says, Sherri, today's somebody's birthday, and we've got a stripper coming in, and you may not want to watch this. So I go out in the office, and I talk to Kathy Gagne. So all of a sudden, you know, and then I see this girl walking. So the girl walks in, music starts playing. I don't want to say what was going on in that room, but let's just say there was a lot of things getting shined. I mean, I'm trying to be really nice about that. Okay, so the Rockers have got the stripper over there, and they're getting shined and everything else. And then the birthday boy comes in. Okay, from the office, okay? All right, and the guy hadn't been in there, didn't know what was up. He walks in the room, happy birthday! And then the stripper's over there, she goes, whee! And goes over there and gives him a big kiss right in the mouth. I am not kidding. I sit back there and I tell those guys, you guys are so gross. And Marty and Sean thought that was the funniest thing in the world. After they got shined, then this other guy goes in and gets a big French kiss. And he had no idea. They taped this thing. They taped it, man. They taped it, and after the girl with Sean did her thing, you know, they all had a good time, and everybody was, you know, in there doing it. whatever it is you guys do behind closed doors, you know what I mean. There ain't no angels out there. All right, come on, you want on? So they taped the whole thing, so we got to watch it after. It was a bit disgusting, I must admit. Quit fighting me. I'm not kidding, but I laughed. I sit back there and laughed. Sean and Marty, they were amazing because they were the little action figures that were, starting to become a thing. So the Hasbro, I think it was, people, they were doing the dolls to Sean and Marty. Sean and Marty used to sit down, and they'd have like a little table, like coffee table. So they would sit down. No, you please give me that back. That ain't your play toys. But they would get in there. So Sean and Marty would get in there. They had the little action figures, and they would start going over stuff with the dolls. I thought they were just playing them. They were going over spots. They were trying to figure out new things to do in the ring with the dolls. They would do it with the dolls first. And they would try, and if they could do it with the dolls, and they knew that if they could see it, if they could see it, it was not impossible for them. And they were not afraid of anything. They would try. It didn't, the high maneuvers that they did. Even early on, they were always the high flyers. It was amazing to watch them. And to watch them from AWA up till WWF. And after that, it was just always an amazing thing. They just like to get drunk at night and pull a goddamn fire extinguisher, and the whole hotel had to be evacuated. And we got a 5 o'clock flight in the morning, and they're pulling fire extinguishers and alarms. We got thrown out of more hotels because of that kind of crap. I love them to death. I really do. They're great guys. But please, don't interrupt my sleep, man.
Seeing Sean back then, did you think he would ever become what he was, like one of the top workers in the, top singles workers?
That was obvious. That was a given with him, because there are some people that work in the business, because you could tell Sean had that special something. Plus, he was a good-looking guy. He had a nice build, and it was just a matter of time and experience and being at the right place at the right time. Little did we know at that time that Vince McMahon Jr., was watching everything that was going on. Hulk Hogan was up there, and Jesse Ventura was up there, and of course, how Vince is always watching the competition to see what's going on, and he spotted this guy. So it was literally just a matter. It was just a matter of time, before they went up there. But yeah, I did. I knew you could tell. You could tell somebody that, they're going to make it. It's just something that you could tell. You ought to know that. Being a smart mark that you are. Are you smart mark 1 or 2? You're 2? You're 2? Yeah? You're 1?
I think I'm 1.
You think you're 1? Okay.
A couple other names. How about Nick Bockwinkel?
Nick Bockwinkel, true story. We're up there. Nick Bockwinkel had AWA World Champion. And it was snowing. Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig with AWA Tag Team Champions. So not too long, we were doing this on this Tuesday again, doing interviews. So Nick had all his interviews slated to do. We did, everybody, took their turn. We did one market, everybody did their interviews, which was inserted into the show. And when it comes time for Bockwinkel to do his interviews, couldn't find the belt. Could not find the belt. Could not find the belt. Probably about 3 months later, we found the belt. It was outside, buried in the snow. Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall took Nick Bockwinkel's belt, and they buried it outside in the snow. He did not have that belt. They had to get another one, because by the time spring thawed the snow, it was so tarnished. You couldn't. It was ruined. I'm serious. That was just amazing. But he was just so eloquent. He was always a perfectionist. The first time I ever met him was doing shows down in Texas. I was wearing sandals, and I was going to meet him. And I knew I was going to be on the show with him that night. My sandals broke. I had to walk up and meet Bockwinkel barefoot. And the first thing he does when he meets someone new, he always looks at your shoes. He always looks at your shoes. So I asked him why one time, and he said because those shoes that a person wears or that a woman wears reflects the kind of lifestyle that she lives. And I said, well, so much for me making a big impression, meeting the world champion. I'm still a big mark for him, right? I mean, I'm serious. You know, I'm still, even at that time, after I got into business, even to today, I'm still a big mark for Nick Bachwin. But he was always really cool. He was always helping me. But everybody was always pulling jokes on him. Always pulling jokes on him.
Well, two of the guys you mentioned with the joke. How about first Kurt Hennig?
Kurt Hennig. Oh, Kurt Hennig's phenomenal. That little baby face. I mean, it says I've been full circle with him. Yeah. He liked to pull pranks. Both of them did. Scott and Kurt did. But Kurt was always very professional towards me. I mean, you got to understand, my position in the business, I was the only woman around, so I had lots and lots of big brothers. And I say that, you know, with very loving feelings, very respectful feelings, because these guys, I've seen them, I mean, they might have been having bad problems at home, but when it came time for those guys to go in the ring, I mean, they would, no matter what was going on, they were focused on what they were doing. They were the AWA champions, tag team champions. And no matter what was going on, how bad things were on the outside of the ring, it did not affect their work in the ring. I mean, they went out there and they gave it 150% every night. And it was very important to us as a group that every fan that came into one of our shows, that they went away happy. Because if they went away happy, then that meant that we were doing our job. No matter what else was going on outside, or what was going on at home, or whatever kind of personal problems we had, when those people left, they had smiles on their face and knew that their admission ticket, the ticket price that they paid, you know, was worth it, and they got their money's worth. And that was just such a cool thing about Kurt and Scott. They gave everything, and to this day they do. I mean, every match they do. You know, they were if I had a problem, I could go and I could talk to them about it. If they had a problem, they could come and talk to me about it. You know, it was a very brother and sisterly type thing. I mean, I know that's kind of hard for people to realize or to comprehend, but that's how it always was, because I was the one that was there when they were sick. If they weren't home with their wives or their girlfriends, they were there on the road, and I had a good rapport with all the wives. The wives knew that I was not up to anything shady. I was not trying to get in their husband's pants. You know, I was there for professional reasons. So it was really good for me at that time and point.
Couple more names. Oh, Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko and I went out for a while. And after I started working for AWA, and he used to coach me on interviews. We'd ride down the road, and he'd, you know, make me do interviews. He'd cut interviews on him. He got a new car one time, brand new car. He didn't want you to smoke, even though he was a smoker. He didn't want you to drink coffee in the car. He didn't want you to drink nothing in the car. Brand new car. So don't be doing that naughty up there now. So he gives me, you know, we ride to the arena one day. Brand, it smelled real nice too. Oh boy. Boy, did it smell nice. So we stopped by to get a cup of coffee. So I set a cup of coffee up there, and Larry took his foot off the brake, and coffee spilled everywhere all over his new car. He says, "Sheriff, man, you ruined my new car. You're not in a car for 20 minutes. You ruined my new car. You put coffee on it." Oh, boy, he was hitting himself upside the head. I said, "Oh, Larry, I'm so sorry. I'll clean your car up for you. I promise. I'm so sorry." I said, "But you really got to have some control with that brake there." And then he starts looking at me like, "How dare you say that?" But I wound up cleaning his car. I really did. But, you know, he made me be really careful. If I brought something to drink in his car after that, he put a lid on it. Shit happens. It does.
Yeah, I know. Oh, gosh. How about, were the Road Warriors in there at all when you were?
The first time, they were with NWA at the time, and it was AWA NWA show in Baltimore. It was a combined show that I first met the Road Warriors. I was going back to my hotel room, and Animal was going into his room. I didn't have a razor. I need a razor to shave my razor. So I said, "Can I borrow your razor? I'll give it back." He says, "I'll let you borrow the razor, but don't give the blade back, okay? I know what it does." I said, "Hey, look, the hair on my legs cannot be half as bad as the ones on your head." You know, he was shaving them off, right? And I felt, you know, that's how I got to meet the Road Warriors. And then once we went to the San Martino's, I think is the name of it in Baltimore. I think that's the name of it. I could be wrong, but think that's it. But we would, after Baltimore, that's how I got to know everybody. We would all play together. And that's when I met Road Warrior Mike, you know, Hawk, and Paul Ellering. I mean, what a wonderful person all three of them are. I mean, they're just, I mean, they're great individuals. I mean, they got to a point where they were together so much they, you know, they didn't want to be together no more. You know, that's why it was the big hiatus. But I mean, as far as tag team goes, I mean, they were so strong. They were, I mean, they were unstoppable. They were unbeatable in the fans' eyes. They were so strong. I mean, they were unbeatable. I mean, it didn't make sense for anyone to try to go out there and go over on the road with because they were such a strong team at the time. I like them.
So one of the AWA mainstays, Baron von Raschke.
Baron von Raschke. I like him. I mean, he was always really cool. I did a couple of celebrity golf tournaments, and he was there with Ducks Unlimited. He was active with that. The Baron was. He was, you know, him, how he is, you know, with that tooth out there, you know, and the claw, you know, and that was always such a cool thing. Him with the cauliflower ears. But most, I remember him as loving the business, loving to work. But he had other things, I guess, with the celebrity tournaments. He likes that kind of stuff. But I got the feeling from him that he was trying to pull away at that time a bit. So.
Now, did they bring Medusa in while you were still there, or?
Yeah, that's where she got a tip job. Yeah, they brought her in. So I said, okay. So I knew when they brought Deuce in, so I knew, you know, kind of indirectly, you know, I kind of started getting that female intuition feeling in my stomach. So Deuce worked there for a little while, and then she got a boob job. So I'm thinking to myself, I can't figure out, you know, why would somebody want to do that? Want to go get a boob job and then go out there and try to take bumps on your chest? I mean, I'm not that big. I'm just a 36, right? I mean, these guys are. I mean, she got like a 40-something. Is that what it was? I'm serious. I mean, she was huge out there. I'm thinking to myself, damn, this girl's got tremendous back problems. And what about the law of gravity? What's going to happen when she gets older? Well, we know she's had 2 or 3 since then and gotten them bigger. I mean, see, I got back problems, but do you think what it would be like to have them way up there like that and then to take bumps on them? I kept waiting for one to burst, which never happened until later down the road with another girl, of course. But, I mean, it never ceased to amaze me, the things that people do. I mean, and I know Vern paid for that boob job. I know for a fact. I didn't see it traded in, but I know for damn fact. I don't care what nobody says. You know, but she got in there and she was hungry. She was, and that just goes. That's just another prime example of what women or men will do in this business to succeed. I mean, there's no boundary lines. I mean, and even today, there's definitely all stops have been pulled out. When Vince went on TV and said wrestling was sports entertainment, he pulled all the stops out. And wrestling was forever at that point in time. Before that interview, wrestling changed. The history of wrestling changed at that point in time. I just don't believe it'll ever be the same. I think people miss the old style a little bit, but they've been programmed to sports entertainment so much now. So I think, you know, it's going to get down towards some of the independent guys. I mean, they're doing so much, you know, to draw it to their houses. And the independents are very important because it gives the younger kids, it gives them a place to go, it gives them a place to grow. But after sports entertainment came, it got to a point where they had to just start doing more and more and more things to get the people to come in. But, you know, I mean, where's the line anymore? I mean, there's no line. I mean, you got barbed wire out there, you got thumbtacks out there, you got fluorescent light bulbs out there. I mean, you got fire. I mean, what's going to be the final finish? Decapitation? I mean, it's really crazy. And I just hope the fans really appreciate what the wrestlers give them each and every night. You know, because I think sometimes the fans are, as we call them, marks. And we don't mean that disrespectfully. We really don't when we call the fans marks. It's just that sometimes when you're out there and these guys are giving it everything that they have every night, and you hear some jack off. Excuse me. I mean, this is a shoot interview, right? fine. You got this jack-off out there in the audience that's always bullshit. Now, what kind of job does he go and do every day? You know, might put a stamp on something, you know, blue-collar worker or something, or goes and digs ditches. No disrespect for these people. We don't go out there, you know, and say, you know, when they're digging a ditch or they doing the stamp giving, we don't go into their business, you know, their place of employment and say, you're really doing a fucking shitty job, you know, or bullshit, you know. I mean, so that irritates me beyond any limits that I know, and it gets me very angry because then it becomes I get to where I disrespect the fan because they are not giving the people in the business that are working their ass off day after day after day, traveling day after day, you know, under the most outrageous circumstances. It's just crazy. When you start to disrespect the business, if you're a fan, then I have no respect for you. I mean, I don't give a damn if you are paying the tickets. You know, give these people some credit. Serious. These wrestlers, I mean, they for years, I mean, this is what they do. If you don't like it, carry your ass out the fucking building. You ain't got to buy a ticket. I'm serious. But do not disrespect these people because they're giving you everything that is in them. You know, come on. I mean, do you people not see? I mean, do you not get it? You are at home in your little bitty houses with your families of 4, 5, 6, or ever how many kids you got. I mean, be a family, be a parent. I mean, disrespecting me would be the same thing as me going back and telling you as a parent that you're doing a shitty job because you don't know where the hell your kids are. At least I can say every night when we're at the wrestling ring, I know where my son's at. I mean, can these parents that are out there, you know, disrespecting us, can they say the same when there's her wife and husband are sitting there? You know, they got their kids with her, you know, whatever. If you're going to disrespect me and the business that I'm in and the people that I know for a fact, I've seen blood and guts out there. You know, so I get very, very defensive about those kind of things. I don't like it when a fan out there, first thing, you know, they don't know what it's like to get in there and bust their ass every night. You know, but the least they can do is have a little bit of respect. I mean, I'll jump on somebody in a minute. I'm not kidding. I don't like it. I don't like assholes. And to me, that's all they are. They have no appreciation for the finer things of wrestling. Can I go get a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey.
All right. Then around 1987, you went over to the WWF.
Yeah.
How'd that come about, or what made you decide to leave Vern and go to?
I was in a celebrity golf tournament, and Jesse Ventura and his wife were there. And I'm not a very good golfer. You know, I'm really not. I got a little plaque for having the shortest drive. I mean, it's not like that. You know, but it was for a really good cause. You know, so I didn't mind the other golfers, you know, kind of laughing at me. You know, they had a good time with me. I had a good time with them. You know, they were receptive to me. You know, as much as I was to them. But they didn't tease me because I couldn't drop something. But I wind up talking to Jesse and his wife after, and you know, this is way before he became governor or he had college or anything like that. And he says, "Have you thought about going to bench shot?" And I said, "No, I just been, you know, I didn't think I was good enough or anything like that." And he says, "Are you doing okay down here? I mean, are you happy down here?" I said, "Well, I'd like to go somewhere else, but you know, right now, you know, this is what I was offered."
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, this is, you know, you take what's offered to you. You know, somebody doesn't offer you a job, you don't go up to them and say, "Hey." You know, I was real self-conscious about everything at that point in time. So I was on my mark and on my P's and Q's. But Jesse was always really cool to me. He was a very nice person. His wife was always really cool, and he shot straight from the hip. You never had to guess where you stood with Jesse. You knew. Well, at that time, I knew that Vince was watching the shows. So Jesse goes back and plugs his ear, and I didn't consider myself the top heel at the time, but apparently Jesse did. Thank you very much. But he told Vince, he says, "What better way to hurt Vern than to take his top heel away?" So I went to, and I was going down to Texas, and I had a show to do, and so Jack Lanza called me after I got back from the show, And he says, Vince wants to meet you and wants to talk to you. I said, what for? I said, Sherri, don't ask questions. Just take it from me. This is a good thing, okay? And I said, okay. I said, well, I got to. He says, when can you come up? I said, well, I said, I've got to go down to Texas. I've got a booking. He says, okay, what we'll do, he said, so I gave him all my dates, and he told me, he says, well, what we'll do is when you finish your date, we'll fly right to Connecticut, you know, they'll take you to the airport and take you to the office. So they did that. And after I got finished in Texas, I flew up. I'll never forget. I got the same outfit. I got the same outfit that I wore at my very first meeting with Vince. I can still fit that outfit, but it's a cool outfit. I always called it my good luck outfit because it was pink. But I got there. They picked me up at the airport and took me to the office. And I walked in, met Vince, shook hands. As soon as I walked in the fucking office, the Moolah was sitting there. So, okay, here we go. So I said, okay, and so I was mad at Moolah for the way she did a few girls and everything. She got girls to do things that she wanted in a very unsavory way, and she tried to hold it over the girl's head. And, well, there were some pictures taken by a very prominent doctor in Phoenix, Texas. That's how Lillian had the girls do exactly what she wanted to. She said, we were all very nice and very good. So what she would do, you know, and the doctor would say, you know, he was very interested in us, and so he would fly us out there, and he would want to take, how can I put it? He wanted to take naked pictures, okay? And so, you know, I wasn't, you know, I was a bad-looking girl, so, you know, I took a few pictures, nothing naked at the time. I'd already been through that little spiel, and I knew sooner or later it always comes back to bite you in the ass. I mean, I don't care what you do in your lifetime. If it's something that you shouldn't have done, it's always going to come back every time. It may take years, but it always comes back. But did the stuff in Phoenix, and then I went back to Moolah. Of course, the doctor wrote. He signed her EKG thing, you know, where she did the EKG. I mean, it was some papers that she needed that he signed for. So he did the pictures and signed the thing for EKG and all that crap. And so I went back. So anyway, that was, you know, and that, you know, I never heard nothing back from it. You know, didn't even bother me for years. So I went in to Vince's office, and Moolah was sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, fuck, here it comes. You know, so it's going to come back to bite me in the ass, right? 'Cause I knew she was going to try to pull something like that, you know. I mean, she's a very, very stern businesswoman. She knows how to get what she wants. But she gets smart to her ass. When she gets smart to her, remember that. So we get in there, and Vince was asking me all kinds of questions. And one of the first questions he asked me was, he says, I heard you had a cocaine problem. I said, no, sir. I said, you know, I like to smoke pot, but, you know, I don't know too many people that don't, you know, in this day and age. And he says, would you be willing to take a urine test? I said, absolutely. Take one for you anytime. I said, you know, you find a few, you know, painkillers in there every once in a while, you know, they're prescribed, and of course pot. And he says, would you have a problem quitting? I said, I don't really want to quit, to be honest. But at the time, you know, everything was, you know, kind of passe at that time. So, you know, pot wasn't really a big issue. It was the heavier drugs like coke and, you know, the mind-altering stuff. So Vince offered me a job. And I asked him, I said, who will my paycheck go to? And is anybody getting a percentage of my money? And I looked directly at Moolah. And I figured, you know, I didn't work for her anymore, even though I had been in her training camp. I just didn't see any reasonable fact any reasonable fact at all why she should get, you know, I mean, it was very defensive about that, because I knew she was going to try to fuck me. I knew it. So I told Vince, he offered, you know, he made the proposal. You know, he wanted me to come to work. He wanted to put the women's strap on me. And I said, well, can I have a couple of weeks to think about it? So, you know, you don't tell me that. You know, but I just, you know, I just wanted to weigh all my options out because I knew Lulu was going to try to pull some shit. I knew it. So, a couple of weeks, I mean, it's about a week and a half went by. I get a phone call, and there's this voice from the past. It's Marvin, the doctor from Phoenix. He gets on the phone, and he says, Sherri. And I said, yeah, what do you want? And he says, heard you got an offer from Vince McMahon. I said, yes, I did. I'm thinking about it. He says, I think it would be in your best interest and everyone else's if you accept the job. I said, listen to me, you sorry son of a bitch. I said, the best fucking thing you can do is hang up right now, because before you have a chance to do anything that you think you can do to hurt me, I said, you can't hurt me because I've done enough stuff in my lifetime that I've hurt myself. And I said, there's nothing you can do to hurt me any worse than I've done myself already. So if you want to let out a few fucking naked pictures, if you really want to take that chance, doctor, I said, you go right ahead, because I know where you live, I know what your fucking name is, I know what you've done to women over the years. You're nothing but a fucking pervert. That is all the fuck you are. And I said, excuse my language, but you know, he really just fucking got under my skin. And I said, you go ahead. I said, because the first picture that I see that you came out, I say, any riff that you do with me, or if you try to make any more threatening calls to me, I said, I'm going to expose you and move for the fucking low-life trash that you are. And I said, it's people like you that have put girls in the business to a point to where they feel that they have got to be subservient to assholes like you. And that's not the way it is anymore. So I said, go ahead, do your fucking shit. I said, but if you call here one more time, I'm going to sue you, and I'm going to take your practice, and I'm going to take you for everything that you fucking got. And I'm going to come at you. I am going to come at you right in your face. I said, so you go ahead, big boy. You go ahead. I said, whatever the decision that I make to go to work for Vince McMahon is going to be my decision, not because you or someone else connected with you is threatening me. So, I didn't hear from him again. About a week, that was a week and a half, and about 4 days after that, I decided to go ahead and go to work for Vince. And so they booked me to go down. It was in July. I forget what year it was. 87, I think it was. Yeah, in Houston. They had booked my flight to go down to Houston. And Vern was trying. I was still working for Vern at the time, but he had come up with these like 2-year contracts, and it's what. And he wanted everybody to sign. The Rockers went ahead and signed. But while you were under contract to Vern, according to this contract, you know, there's no way to break it. No way to break it on the part of the talent. The promoter had to be the one to break the contract or let you out of the contract per se. He had the Rockers tied up for that. The Rockers couldn't go to Vince, you know, for a couple of years because they had signed that damn contract. And plus, he dangled that little carrot in front of you, you know, that when they started having the dolls. That's when they first started doing the AWA dolls. So they had that little carrot was there too. And Sean and Marty, you know, they were, you know, starting out a brand new tag team, and they were doing really, really good, and they were trying to make good business decisions. But so I watched what everybody else did, and so they said Vern would get $500 a week, you know, after we signed a contract. So I was collecting my $500 every week, but I didn't sign a damn contract. So we were in Las Vegas. We were doing, you know, it was the last ESPN shoot that I was going to do. And Jeff Jarrett knew before anybody else. I was sitting up there at the bar. I was sitting there drinking me, you know, a couple of vodka and cranberries. And I just having me a good time. Everybody else was out gambling. Jeff Jarrett and I was sitting there. That's when he had the long, pretty blonde hair. I mean, the kind of hair that women are so jealous of. So he's sitting there, Sherri, what are you up to? I said, you want to know a secret, Jeff? What? That's it. And he says, when? I said, after this TV show. And he says, oh, congratulations. So Jeff Jarrett knew I was going to Vince before anybody did. Well, with the exception of Jeff. But went to, we did that. And so after the shoot, I went down. I flew down. I was supposed to fly out that day. I mean, there was a terrible storm. And where I lived at, you know, you had to go like around the mountain. And they had a lot of mudslides and everything there, you know, when it rained. So we go around, you know, and I'm driving, and I can't get to the airport. I'm serious. I was trapped inside this son of a bitch, and I couldn't get to the airport. So, you know, my flight that I was supposed to take, you know, I had to get them to rebook me. So I had to go back home, get them to redo the flight, and the rain was just terrible. And so finally they got it to where we could get out of there. So I made the flight. But when I got, it's a good thing that I carried my gear with me, and you know, I just carried it, you know, for one night because I was going back home. So I had no idea who was picking me up at the airport. They said somebody would meet me, but I was late. The plane was late. I had to get dressed. I mean, this lady that I had never met before, her name is Donna Shannon. God bless her soul. I mean, I know her to this day. She's a wonderful lady, still a friend of mine to this day. I'm not kidding. She picked me up. I mean, did not know me or anything else. She had a description, you know, what she see on ESPN. And I had to get dressed in that lady's car. I was ready to walk into the ring with the exception. I mean, my boots were laced and I was ready to go. When I walked into that arena, and I'm just running in there. And I'm going in there. And so the first person I see when I go in the locker room is Moolah. She says, "How you doing, Sherri?" I said, "Fine, Lillian. How you doing?" And she says, "You ready to do this?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready to do it." I said, "Okay." So we do it, and we proceed to go through the show that night. You know, she's being very, very nice. Very nice. Of course, she always is. She, you know, two-faced. You know, if she got something going on, she got some little shit going on, she's going to fuck you sooner or later. And she always got the upper hand up until this point. And she did that with so many girls. I'm not trying to take any kind of credit away from Lillian. I'm really not. I mean, I have every bit of respect for her as a wrestler. What she's done for women in this business, I wouldn't have gotten to the point that I was if it wouldn't have been for Lady. As a wrestler and a professional, I have all the respect in the world for her. As a person, I have no use for her. That's me. That's my personal opinion. You ask me, I'm telling you. You know, this is something I've never said to anything or anybody before. But it's, you know, there just comes a point in time in your life, you know, where things that have happened to you, you know, when people start asking you questions, and everybody else is being upfront, you know. And this is just what happened with me. You know, I mean, I didn't do the thing with the doc. You know, I should have been a lot more smarter than this, but it wasn't. But, you know, you grow up, you live and you learn. But we got in the ring that night, and I know she beat the living shit out of me. I mean, I had welts on my chest from where she was doing, where she was, you know, giving me the slap. So I knew it. I took an ass beating that night.
And that was the night they put you over?
Yeah.
The first night in?
Yeah, that was the strap. Couldn't figure that out.
All right. Quick. All right, after you beat Moolah, then your first kind of feud with Rockin' Robin.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts and memories of her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that girl could drink more damn beer. I used to think that girl had a hollow leg. I'm not kidding. I mean, because she was a real slender girl, yeah? You know how Jake was and how Sam was? I mean, I'm serious. That girl, she could sit up and she could drink more beer. And I could not, and still function. I'm not kidding. That girl could function, but I tell you what, I remember going up and down the road with that girl. And I remember putting the two beds in the hotel together. I mean, we take the mattress off and put them, and we work out, you know, in the hotel room and stuff on the mattress. And we would do that. Of course, her dad was an agent at that time, and we never did the same thing over and over. We were doing like the Washington run up from northern Washington on down through when we wound up in L.A. But for every city we were in, we got the write-up, and we got the sports picture on the sports page. I mean, for every day, every town that we were in, and that was so cool. But the thing that was cool about Robin is that she was, her and I, we both wanted to do things differently. She had experience in dance, so we incorporated a lot of her dance stuff into our matches. Which was a lot of fun because I got, you know, because I love to dance too, you know. We do the swing around stuff, and I mean, she was just phenomenal to work with, and she had no boundaries as far as what she would do, you know. She wasn't afraid. When I'd get up on the top rope or something, you know, she was right there with me, and she was just really good. Boy, what a beer drinker. Damn. I know a few minutes she could drink under the table. I used to cook. I can't anymore. I just don't like it that much anymore. Can you have margarita every once in a while? That'll be fine. But it's just, I just don't like the headaches anymore.
Eventually, then in Titan, they also made you a manager.
Yeah.
And I guess the first person they put you with was Randy. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts and memories on Randy?
When Robin came in and they took the strap off me and I dropped it to her in Paris, I started to get a little worried. I said, well, I'm not wrestling anymore. They put the strap on Robin. I said, oh shit, I wonder if they're going to fire me. So it was down in Huntsville, Alabama. I was in the dressing room, Elizabeth was in there. And she said, Sherri, you talked to Vince yet? I said, no. Why? She says, I got something to tell you, but you can't. You got to act surprised when they tell you. I said, what? She says, how do you feel about working with Randy? I said, oh. And she said, how do you feel about working with Randy? And I said, well, I guess I feel okay about it. How would you feel about me working with Randy? Because both of them guys are Scorpios. And if you know anything about Scorpios, I mean, oh, God. Oh, man. We would sit. So I sit there. So, I sit down. I said, let me. So I'm kind of stunned. I said, let me. I sit down. I think about it, and I was at a loss for words. And I looked at her. I kept waiting for a response, because I knew she was Scorpio. And them think the two of them together, her and Randy, both Scorpios, and both of them jealous. Yeah. The last thing I needed was a wife, an insecure wife, which Elizabeth never, ever came across to me as insecure or worrying about her husband or anything of that sort. She says, Sherri, I know you, and I know that you wouldn't try anything, try anything on a personal level. I know that you would not try to hurt me and my husband or try to come in between us. I said, no, it's not what I'm here for. That's your home. I said, this is where, I said, if you feel comfortable with it, I said, I'll agree to it. I said, but if there's any way, shape, or form that you're not comfortable with this, I'll do what I can to, as a professional, to, make you feel secure or let you know that, everything's okay. And what I was basically trying to tell her that I was, not trying to be a threat to her marriage. And, but she trusted me, and I was really thankful for her because, we went up and down the road so many times. I can't name you how many times that I put on disguises and met her at the airport. I'm serious. Because I could put on different kinds of clothes and different kinds, fix my hair a different way or just camouflage myself. Nobody never know it was me, unless I smiled, of course. But it was fun because I got to dress incognito a lot, and I remember working in Philadelphia. That was when Liz was on the other side with Hogan, I believe it was, and so we're all staying at the Marriott there, and wound up going into the bar. And so I still having to dress incognito and everything. So I was in there drinking with Randy and Liz, and I got so lit that night. I paid the bellman to lead me back up to my room. I'm serious. Oh God, Randy got me so drunk. But what I didn't know, remember that story I told you about me putting the booze in Debbie's drink? Well, Liz was putting it in my drink. It's either her or Randy. One of them was putting something extra in my drink. I'm not kidding, because after I got off that elevator, I'm serious, I dropped to my knees, and that poor bellman, he must have just stared at me, because I crawled to my room, and I made it there just in time to make it to the toilet to throw my guts out. I am not kidding. I think I gave that kid a $20 tip. I'm not kidding, but oh my God. I can't let anybody else tell these stories on me. I gotta do it before anybody else does it.
Oh.
But I just never thought, anybody would be interested in that. So Randy and Liz did the thing, and that was cool. And at the time, after I worked with him for two years, and I remember the majority of my paychecks, if I wasn't, going on my, paying for my mom's home, was going to bear clothes. I spent $175,000 on clothes for the 2 years that I worked with Randy Savage. I am not kidding. I still got a lot of them upstairs in my closet. some of them don't fit now, you know, because I'm smaller. But you know, I still have the stuff and memories. I can remember Randy was always so damn intense. Of course, them Scorpios are that way. But Liz, the female counter of that wasn't so bad. I mean, she was intense, but not to the point where Randy was. I mean, he was like that. I mean, it's like he was wired all the time. But he was so intense. I mean, and he was intense about everything. I remember we were getting ready for the WrestleMania, where he did his retirement match, and he and Liz got back together in L.A. Randy Facts Warrior, 21 pages, front and back match. 21 pages, I kid you not. Warrior comes up to me, I can't believe it, 21 pages. We only got half an hour, Sarah. I mean, I don't remember how long it went or anything else, but oh God, it was eventually condensed. But I remember many rep sessions at night where we were going over this thing and trying to refine it. I'm serious. I mean, and the people that go out there and they yell asshole, getting back to you assholes again, and people that are disrespectful, you know, just because you want to see a little something extra. So the only thing that you have to do is sit back and watch and appreciate what's going on, because I watched Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior go through and refine this match to a fine tea. I mean, it was refined right down to the last damn thing that was going on right before the bell, right before the finish. Everything was refined, and I saw them go over that for, you know, getting ready for WrestleMania for at least 3 months before when we were getting ready to go into WrestleMania. But God, it was just amazing. And then there was a time, Randy and Liz, I told you Randy and Liz were jealous, right? Jealous of each other. So, I mean, and a lot of times we didn't always have the best locker room situation. So in one of the towns, it had to be somewhere in Pennsylvania. It had to be, because the arena's there. I see, it wasn't Hershey, because that's where they got the Elvis roadkill on the side of the road and all that kind of stuff going up through. That's another story. I'll do that later. Tell Kathy it's Catholic guy. Oh man. But anyway, they didn't have the dressing rooms and everything right for us, so they had to build a dressing room. Anyway, they had put a door on it, to make a long story short. Anyway, Randy locked us in. I get claustrophobic when I'm locked in and I can't get out. I mean, so that's why we never make it in jail. I mean, never. I'm serious. But Randy locked us in there, and I just went to a hissy fit. I'm not kidding. I broke the door, and Randy's coming. I mean, I'm serious. I'm kicking the shit out of some of it. I mean, I was banging the walls, throwing chairs at and shit. Liz was over there in the corner. She said, Sherry, I can't stand to be in here. The door's locked. Randy locked it. I'm serious. I was beating that door down. And Randy come up, he heard all the commotion and shit, and he said, why did you keep the door down? I said, Randy, I'm claustrophobic. Don't you ever fucking lock me in again. I said, you have no idea what it does to me. I was about ready to pull my freaking hair off. And I wasn't even in menopause. I am not kidding. It was crazy. And he never to this day, never again, ever locked me in another room. Never locked Liz in another room either, I don't believe. Not that unless the lock was from the inside. Never any more doors with that lock on the outside.
Well, you touched on one of his main feuds, of course, was with Hogan. What are your thoughts and memories on Hulk?
That was a rough time because at that time, that was when, even though they say, you know how we were talking about that line, that it's no longer there. I've always thought that when you bring personal relationships and marriages into the business and intertwine the two, sooner or later, there's going to be fireworks. Well, there was. There was a lot of fireworks, because there was the whole thing where Liz left Randy and everybody says Hogan knew where she was. And Hogan and I had been friends. And so Randy, he'd get mad at me if he couldn't get to Liz or he couldn't get to Hogan or talk to anybody, try to find out he didn't know where Liz was. He was on a whack. So he'd take it out on me. I'm serious. If I finally got to the point, where I see him coming, I'd turn around and run the other fucking way. I'm not kidding. The last thing you wanted was the wrath of Randy Savage on your ass. And then I had to work with him at night.
And the intensity and the hatred, you could see it in his eyes. I mean, I don't think, looking back on it now, that he meant anything directly at me, other than the fact that he needed somewhere to direct his anger because he couldn't put it where the problem actually was. He couldn't direct it to the person that he had anger with, which was Elizabeth and Hogan. And they say that Hogan's wife had helped her hide out and all this, that, and the other. But I was just, you know, I was like in the middle. So, you know, it regardless if it had been me or someone else, ever who was there, you know, would have been in the middle. Maybe I was a little bit more because, you know, because I was friends with him. But, you know, I didn't see any reason for them to drag me into stuff. You know, but eventually, he did, on that same tour, he got mad at me real bad, and he was taking stuff out on me, and I got to a point where I wouldn't even talk to him. I just finished, and that was it. And just eventually, I was sitting in a restaurant in New Jersey. It was at the end of the tour, and I was sitting at the table, and I saw him come in, and he was looking direct at me, and I said, oh, fuck, what was he trying to do? I had all kinds of shit going on through my mind, you know, thinking, God, you know, I'm just fucking guys pissed, you know, I'm not doing anything, I'm just trying to work here. I don't want to be put in the middle of all this stuff. And the last thing I needed was heat with Randy Savage, you know, when I'm trying to do a job, you know, and I mean, our partnership there, it doesn't come to an end, you know, and he was having problems at home, and I was just getting caught in the middle, and I got to the point where I just didn't want to deal with it. So he comes over, after I see him come to the door, comes over to my table, you know, and I say hello, you know, trying to be nice. And so I say, excuse me, if you want this table, I'm all finished. You know, there's all kinds of tables around. Comes over to my fucking table, I'll leave, you know, I'm finished anyway. You know, I'd rather get up and leave, give the man my table, than to take any more verbal abuse or those intense stares that he's got, because there's nothing worse than having he's the Randy Savage, and him glaring at you with those eyes, because you cannot read the man. The only thing you know is that he can rip you a new asshole, verbally and physically, and mentally. He can do that to you. But he says, no, please, don't leave. He says, I'd like to talk to you. So I just looked at him. I didn't trust him. I got to the point where, you know, I just didn't trust him, you know, but I felt like he was a loose cannon. He says, I am sorry for putting you in the middle of this. He says, that was not right of me. He says, I didn't see until the last few days how much of an impact that this has had on you, and how much, and how hurt you are. I said, what am I supposed to feel? I said, you guys are putting me in the middle of something that has absolutely nothing to do with me. I said, I like all of you guys. I said, I realize that you've got personal problems right now. I said, but they do not involve me. I did not cause these problems. I said, I'm trying to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that my work is complimentary to you in every way, shape, and form. I said, I can't do it and put it over out there with you with all this intensity going on. I said, I can't do it. I didn't cause this. Please, just put your anger where it belongs. And he apologized. And after that, we never had another problem. Never had. I was never put in the middle. He directed his anger where it went, to the right person. You know, I'm sure going through the things that he went through, he was very hurt. You know, I mean, that's understandable. He was devastated. I can say that because I've seen it. I saw devastation. I saw anger. I saw hurt. I saw a man turn inside out. But then again, I also saw a woman turn inside out. And when these things happen and you're working with them, you're going to get caught up in the middle until it comes to a point to where you have to put your foot down and you have to take yourself out of the situation. As long as you let yourself be there and be the sounding board, that's exactly where you'll be.
All right. Go back on some of the other guys Randy worked with during that time. Change your hacksaw Duggan one was
What's the matter?
No.
Did I say something strange or something? I just got that look on your face.
where you got to become
Sorry, go ahead.
the king and queen of the.
Oh, that was fun. Oh man. Oh man. Wait a minute. Let me turn it off a minute. I gotta get something.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're saying that were you student with Jim Duggan and became the king and queen.
Oh
Your
God.
thoughts on
Oh, that was this is the original scepter that Randy and I had. Oh, there was two actually. You know, in case one got lost because we always had doubles of everything. But anyway, the other one, Randy broke over Ultimate Warrior's head. I'm serious. I mean, that damn thing's heavy. But I tell you what, I'm glad I didn't have his head that night. I'm serious. That guy, oh man, that busted his head. He had some stitches because of that. But we became, Randy and I became, you know, king and queen. And that was an amazing time because that was something that Randy adapted to very easily, and which became clothes-wise very costly for me. Because I mean, working with Randy, you have to compliment his clothes. So every time before TV, I'd wind up going out and spending, you know, a couple, you know, $200, $300, $400, $500, you know, on clothes, you know, to match his stuff. And you know, and if I didn't, because I didn't want to go out there, you know, and you know, I didn't want to go out there just the same thing, you know, because Randy had no problem spending money on costumes. I mean, I know he spent thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, which was amazing. So, you know, me, you know, wanting to succeed and show Vince, you know, that I was trying to do my job to the best of my ability and compliment Randy, you know, and at the same time, you know, the product out there that would, you know, that could sell. So I'd go out and spend all this money on clothes and stuff. And to this day, I love clothes. You know, I really do. And but Randy Hogan looked at me one time and he said, "I couldn't afford you." I said, "What are you talking about, Sherri?" And he said, "You know, Sherri, after years that I have known you, that I have never seen you in the same outfit twice." And I said, "But Terry," and he says, "But Sherri," he said, "you're just too high maintenance." And I love clothes, I really do. But variety's a spice of life, yeah? I mean, you want to see somebody going around with the same stuff on all the time? Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. But that was so cool, Randy. When we became king and queen, I mean, that was just like a whole new run for us. I mean, it made us a little bit fresher. It gave us, you know, another dimension to our characters. And after that little episode, you know, with Liz and, you know, when they got separated, of course that was on later down the line, but, you know, I had basically a good working relationship through everything that we did, the whole 2.5 years we worked together. I mean, he was good, he was intense, you know, and he was never out of line, you know, with the exception of that one time he apologized, and, but he's a consummate. I mean, I consider myself very privileged to have worked with him for the length of time that I did. He helped me out as far as interviews. But you guys remember this. Wait a minute, where's it?
November.
Yeah, it's in the back. Yeah. American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, a working man, yeah? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember that? I'm serious. That was a long day. I mean, these makeup jobs, I'm not kidding. I got that when I first started doing the makeup job and everything like that. I was doing it myself, and then I had the ladies that were makeup ladies. They would start helping me out. But I've got a picture of every face that was painted. You know, when I worked with Savage. One of the things that made Sensational Queen Sherri so cool is that she was just a bitch. You know, and Macho Kinky was the same thing. You know, that was I always call him Kink. I never call him Macho King. I call him Kink. Macho Kink. K-I-N-K. And you can think whatever you want. You can just let your imagination run. But it was just a really, really cool time. Oh God, snakes.
Oh, the man you did just show you. You had a few with Dusty in there.
Yeah, Dusty Sapphire.
Yep. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh God, all the working man. Well, Dusty Rhodes, to begin with, is a very, I mean, he's a legend in the wrestling business. You know, I get all the respect in the world for it. He saw me at a very bad time in my life, need someone in Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Come on, baby, you can come on. And he saw me get with my third husband, and he saw the whole thing, play out. I mean, this guy was. I was very lonely at the time, and this guy, if you look at him, you think he was Peter Cetera. I mean, he's very, very, very handsome, and that was my weakness for him. And Dusty saw it all going down. He saw it all happening, and each and every one of them, from Pat Patterson to Dusty Rhodes, Sapphire, she just thought he was good looking and everything. So, I picked him up, and he started traveling with me. That sounds strange that I picked him up. Well, I did. I'm sure in hell did. I did. I mean, because at that point, I saw something, I wanted it. And I thought I was very misguided in my own mind because I had a tendency to take people for face value and not sit back and find out the type of person they were. It seemed that everybody knew what kind of snake he was but me. But it turned out it turned out bad. Pat Patterson told me he was bad. I mean, everybody did. Everybody told me he was bad, but I didn't listen. But Dusty and Juanita, Sapphire, and she's passed away now. God bless her. When they brought Dusty in, and then they brought Sapphire in as a working man and a working woman. I mean, I thought that song that came out. He's just a working. I think that was so cool to dance to. I'd be in the back dancing to it and everything. I was watching in front of the monitor. I mean, I just a mark for everybody. I just liked everybody, and especially Juanita. She was funny when she came in. She was so humble from St. Louis, and she was always say she loved the ground Dusty Rhodes walked on. I'm serious. I mean, there was nobody better than Dusty Rhodes, and that's how much she admired him. I mean, she really did. When it came time for them to break up, and she went to do that, she was back in the dressing room crying. I kid you not, she was. God bless her heart. We were getting ready for that for the show at the Toronto Dome, Sky Dome in Toronto, and I used to get mad at Juanita because we traveled down the road and everything, and she's kind of a large lady, and she kind of had an odor to her because of that jerry curl junk she put in her hair, and you know how sticky that shit is. So the boys always say, she'd ride with the boys and they get mad because she leaned her head back when she was sleeping, and jerry curl shit would get on the back of the car right there, So and when she get finished working. She was riding one of the boys, and they said, hurry up and get dressed, and, let's go. So she was trying to be real considerate because she was riding with someone else, and, so she would just get dressed right after she'd work, and, she would just go. So I got to the point where I got sick of it, so the boys told me about it, what was going on with the jerry curl and the smell and everything. No disrespect intended, okay? I mean, none whatsoever. I mean, God rest her soul, I love her. But I used to steal her clothes. I steal her clothes, and the only thing I'd leave there was the damn shampoo, soap, and a washcloth and towel. And I'd try to put it on. And she said, Sherri, where's my clothes? I said, you have them back when you get finished in the shower. And so I had to tell her, and I said, Juanita, they will wait for you. Ever who you're riding with, they will wait for you, and they will appreciate it more if you take a shower. And so after that, but I had to do it for about a week or so. But she finally got the idea. But, but she had, I mean, I wasn't trying to come across mean to her. And she was receptive to everything I was telling her, as she really was. And so after that, I mean, I didn't have to steal them too many times.
Yes, because you guys did the mixed tag matches with them.
Yeah.
Was that hard? I mean, did you have any experience working at all before,
No.
at all angles?
None. She was just a lady that loved wrestling, was from St. Louis, and she fit right in. Apparently, somebody had seen her, and she fit right in with the thing that Vince was trying to build with Dusty at the time as being a working man, and Juanita as being a working woman. Of course, I used to think there were black giant bumblebees running around or something, with a big old black and spots, and yellow spots, and that was amazing. I had to take her into Titan to the gym, and took her up to the ring and worked out with her. Vince was in there a few days, and she wouldn't listen to me. And I was trying to, just sure I did, just a flying mare. You got Billy Bob, honey, come up here for a minute. It's too little. What I had to do, so it's when you're giving somebody a flying mare, and you take them by the head, and they come over like this. Well, I was trying to teach her how to give it to me. What she would do is, okay, when you go down, you get a flying mare, you go down and you flip over. Well, what she was doing was this. She was putting her knee up and she was trying to get a flying mare over. Now, what happens when your nose or your face meets this, you get lots of pain. And so she did it to me. I mean, I had been telling her, I've been very, very patient with her. And I said, look, Juanita, you have to put your fucking knee down. I said, I've told you this 100 times. I said, listen to me. I said, I have to protect you and myself because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I wasn't trying to be mean, and Vince was up there and he heard me. And, I don't know, he never said anything to me. I mean, about the way that I was talking to her. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to her, but it was the only way that I could get through to her. Because we had to go out there in front of, this big-ass arena coming up, in front of these thousands and thousands of people and millions of people on TV. And I wanted it to look good. If she's going to be in this mixed tag match, and, I wanted her to at least know what she was doing to where I would not hurt her, or I had to protect myself where she wouldn't hurt me. So it wound up being a real good thing. She learned. If it wouldn't have been for her age, I think she would have liked to have learned to wrestle more. But I think her biggest thrill of her life was working with Dusty. And Dusty was a very nice person to her, And because it's real strange, because when I had this meeting coming up with Dusty on the 8th of December, I want to remind him of a couple of things. Yeah, he's seen us go through. He went through all the stuff with Bret Hart, and he went through all the stuff with me. And I mean, he was always a gentleman, a consummate professional. He was, and he's a lady in this business. And I feel very privileged to have been a part of that of that team there.
Next, after Savage and Liz got back together, you did the angle turn, and they next put you with Ted DiBiase.
Teddy Bear?
What are your memories of Ted?
Yeah, okay.
Working with Ted.
Yeah, Boston. It was Teddy Bear's birthday. I got pictures I'll show you too. But it was Ted's birthday. And everybody, when you go into the Boston Arena, it's kind of hard because you have to drive down to there and you have to park under the building. Boston Maple Leaf, that's Montreal, Toronto. Boston Gardens. But you have to drive down. Is that right?
Boston Gardens, yeah.
When you drive down, you park up under there. And so I had sent a bunch of girls to this shop, this specialty shop, and to get a few things. So we're going to give Teddy Bear a surprise birthday party. So we did. We got these blow-up dolls, and all these kind of paraffin. It was a sex party for Ted DiBiase. That's what it was. But it wasn't like a sex party. But what we did was we decorated my dressing room, and we had everybody coming there, the referees with the blow-up dolls, and we had all kinds of little play toys and stuff around. And so I got pictures. I'll show you later. But so one of the boys went and got I went and got Teddy Bear. I went and got him out of the dressing room, brought him around, and my dressing room was closed off and everything, and the lights was off. So when he went in, he opened the door and he turned the light on. Everybody say happy birthday, and he said, "Whoa!" And he's doing that kind of deal. Cause I mean, you see the blow-up dolls there with their mouths wide open, and I won't tell you about the other doll. It was on its knees. Well, I guess I just did. I said I wasn't going to say that, but I guess Scary Sherri does come out occasionally. But the dolls were there. I mean, dolls on their four knees, and we got the referee behind the doll. It was just a fun it was a fun thing for everybody when he came in the room. You know, everybody wished him, you know, saying happy birthday and threw confetti on him and all the little toys and stuff around. Of course, we all gave him X-rated toys, and we had a little birthday cake made for him. And but Ted was really, really cool. He's always a gentleman. He's, in my eyes, he'll always be the $1 million man. Yeah.
Oh. Then after you with Ted for a while, then they put you with Sean. As we talked about earlier.
Yeah, my boy toy.
What are your memories of working with him now at this point? Now that you got to.
Oh God, Sean. Besides being a wonderful person, when I'm saying these things, I'm saying these because these are what, when I'm talking to you about people, this is the way that these people have treated me, and the things that I tell you as are the things that we have traded back and forth personality-wise. And working with Sean, I was privileged because I was able to watch him from AWA grow into the professional, you know, toy boy, heartbreak kid that he turned out to be. The biggest thing that I remember about him is that we were supposed to work Philly that day, and his wife was graduating. She was going to interior decorating school. She was graduating, so he flew back home. He was in the airport, and he didn't have a tie to wear, and he didn't know how to tie a tie. He was in the Atlanta airport, and he went to the shop, and he bought a tie, and he stopped this man he had never seen before. And he said, "Sir, I'm on my way to my wife's graduation, and I have no idea how to tie. Could you please tie this for me?" And the man was nice, and he tied the tie for him. Sean went. You know, he was a little late for the graduation, but he got there, you know, for the finale. But the point was, he made the effort to be there. I mean, and he loved his wife so very much. And the thing that was amazing when he came back in, to Philly that night, he flew back in, and the first thing he did was come to the dressing room and tell me all about the graduation ceremony and how proud he was of his wife. And he told me about the tie thing, and then he wound up saying that after that makes me think about it so much is that I always had those satin gloves, you know, the long gloves that I wore. Well, they were satin, and when Sean was a baby, his mom had satin in his crib, and he liked to do this to it. I mean, he was always doing this, you know. It was just it wasn't a kinky thing or nothing like that. It's just it's just a habit, and he just liked the feel of it. So, you know, I got to a point where, you know, when I buy gloves, I'd have to buy 2 pair, you know, because I'd give him one, to touch or whatever, and he would, if I didn't buy 2 pair, I wouldn't have that. But and the dresses, I got to a point where, the dresses, I started getting them made out of that material, and he just liked that material. He was very receptive. That was just the sweetest things that he was receptive to. He was never disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. Not an angry word ever came out of his mouth toward me. I mean, not an angry word at all. As far as for working, Vince thought, I think maybe we were ahead of our time at that point, because Vince used to, when we did the show in Wembley Stadium in England, that's where I wore the white chaps. So, I was trying to match up with him, right? So, and I had a thong on, and I had 2 pair of nylons on, plus a pair of white fishnets. So I wasn't naked per se, but, the outfit, well, you remember. I mean, a cool-ass outfit. And so we showed it to Vince, and I made sure that I didn't bring any other outfit. So he said, "You got to back up." "No, Vince, this is my outfit. I paid $2 grand for this outfit. I'm wearing this outfit." But I did, but the outfit, it was the white chaps, with the hearts on the side, and I bought some little white boots, and we put rhinestones, I mean, all of the whole get up from one end to the other. So we go in there to show it to Vince in Wembley Stadium, and he looks at it, and he says, "Sherri, I don't know if we can get away with that." I said, "Vince, that's all I got. I don't have another outfit. I just had this made. It's $2 grand." And I said, "Come on, I got 2 pair of tights on, and plus I got fishnets on. I'm covered. There's no way, shape, or form I can fall out anywhere, and it's not vulgar. I'm covered." So he gave me the red light to do it. He really did. But I wore it a couple of times after that when Mrs. McMahon was around. You know, and she thought, you know, we were pushing it a little bit too far. Of course, then, you know, you could not wear thongs. I mean, you could, but, you know, you didn't. You weren't as exposed when I was with him in the beginning as the girls are today.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, you know, I don't have double D's and all that either, but, you know, but it was just, Sean was just very, very amazing, and it was great for my career to be with him because I saw him from beginning to end. I saw him when he started out. I saw him when him and Marty were working with the dolls and going over spots and figuring out matches and figuring out new things. He never ceased to amaze me. The thing when he and I started to break up, and it's when Marty Jannetty came in, and they started doing that angle, and where Sean had me, and Marty busted the mirror over my head. I mean, I felt like crying, just, you know, and it reminded me of Sapphire when she was going to $1 Million Man from Dusty. You know, it kind of, I mean, it's like I went through a mourning period after each one of these guys that I worked with, because they, not only had they become my work partners, they became my friends as well. And it was just real hard for me, because I mean, I thought there was so much more Sean and I could have did, but I had a lot of personal problems at the time, and I guess Vince thought that the angle and storyline had ran its course. But, you know, to this day, he's one in a million. There's not another like him.
Yeah, because as you're saying, after then they kind of had you feud against Sean, so they kind of turned you a fan favorite for a while. I mean, how was that after being? I mean, you're basically a heel pretty much for
my whole life. I would rather be a heel than babyface. It was kind of hard because I didn't know how to be nice to people. I mean, Sherri Russell knows how to be nice to people. Scary Sherri, Sensational Sherri, Sensuous Sherri, Sister Sherri. They're not very nice alter egos. I mean, they're all alters. I mean, and like Sherri Russell can be talking to you one night, then a story-ass bitch, Sensational Sherri will come out, then Scary Sherri will come out. Do you remember when Beefcake started to cut my hair? Do you remember he had the audacity to come out there and want to cut my hair? I couldn't believe it, and then all of a sudden, you know, Sherri Russell will come back, or the Miles Sherri Martel will come back, and of course you got, woo, Sensuous Sherri. Now she styled the problem with Flair for a while. And you had Sister Sherri. Yeah, I tell you what, with Harlem behind her, there was nothing she could not accomplish. I'm serious, but you know, these guys kind of come out sometimes. I mean, I'm in the strangest places when it happens. I mean, I've been in restaurants before where Sister Sherri will come out. And the waitress, I mean, she'll just flip. I mean, everybody just thinks, you know, that I lost my mind. You know, and I keep trying to tell everybody I'm certified with shame. You know, but nobody seems to really grasp that concept. Oh, hold on.
All right. Well, still like we did before, give you some names from your WWF time, thoughts, stories, whatever.
Okay.
The main man, Vince McMahon, just
Vince?
throwing your whole run.
Hell, Caesar. No, seriously. I worked for him for like 7 years. And when you say Vince, I think, you know, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm in there and I'm getting ready to go out and, you know, start whispering, just starting to an angle. And Vince Patterson being off. And what was amazing to me was that Vince would get them. I mean, with all due respect, I mean, Vince could imitate me better than I could. What I'm saying is he knew exactly what he wanted me to do, and when he saw that he could bring out what he wanted in you. He's very good at doing that with people, and I guess he saw more in me than I saw in myself at the time, because it's like he could sit there and he would, like, you know, if they wanted me to do a power walk, I mean, it's like, you know, and I was always putting my hands on my hips. It's just a thing, you know. I don't know what it was. But Vince and everything, you know, and Patterson, they would sit there and they tell me they want me to do a power walk down. They're going like these, you know, real big muscular guys and everything else, you know. So I'm trying to go down there, you know, and do his, ouch, and be you know, as muscular as as possibly able, you know, as I'm able to. But it was just crazy because Vince and Pat could imitate me and do me, Sensational Sherri, rather. They could do her better than I could at times. I'm serious. I mean, if you had a camera and could have been back in that office when they were telling me what to do. It was amazing. There was not a time when I was going through a lot of personal problems, and Vince was never too busy to talk to me or to take time for me. You know, like we were TV, even if we were TV, I would knock on the door, and if I had something I needed to talk to him, you know, I mean, before the day was out, you know, he gave me, you know, he listened to me and what I needed to say, and he was always there, and he was always very helpful. I know, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, you know, but mine's just, you know, from personal experience, the man, his wife, you know, his company, I mean, they treated me great. They really, really did, and I could still walk into any show to this day, or I can call him on the phone, and he always, every time, if he's not there, he calls me back, but if he's there, he always talks to me. You know, he was just really cool to me. That's what he was.
About Andre the Giant. I'm sure the Giant was there. Every is good Andre story.
Oh. Okay. Okay, Andre's biggest thing, you know, was, you know, he called everybody boss. And Andre was really cool. He always beat everybody at the card games they played, cribbage. And he was very good at it. And he always liked wine. And Vince always made sure that he always had wine at TVs and everything. But we went, we took a tour, and we were in England, I believe it was, no, France. But we gotten over there, and we went out, you know, and had a few cocktails the night before, and everybody was, you know, pretty trash. We were all excited about being in Europe. And, oh, God. So we had a certain time that we had to get up in the morning so we could catch the bus. And it was really amazing, because the night before I'd been out partying and everything, and I had forgotten to leave a wake-up call. Well, the one thing that you don't do is keep Andre the Giant waiting. I was up there sleeping and snoozing, and, you know, and I was after a few cocktails that night before, and I tell you what, he banged and banged and banged on that door, and I got up and I let him in, and he says, "What's the matter with you? Everybody is out on the bus waiting for you. Who are you to think that you could keep me waiting?" He says, "Let me tell you something right now. Either if you can't go out and party with the boys when you get off work and get up the next day and catch the bus and go to work and be responsible, you give up one of them." He says, "You can't be a professional and go out and be a party animal at the same time." He says, "You do everything in moderation." And he says, "Now get your shit together, get your clothes on, get down to the fucking bus, or I'm going to take you and your shit and throw it out the window, and I don't care where it lands." I mean, and you can imagine Andre is huge and as big as he was. And I'm not kidding. And he did not talk to me for the next 2 weeks. And he says, "Oh, by the way," you know, when he's walking up the damn door, and he says, "See that glass over there that you broke last night?" He says, "You're going to pay for that. That's coming out of your money. That's coming out of your pay." And he says, "And you are in hot trouble." I don't know if they call me hot shit, but I said, I got my stuff together, and I was sick too. I had a hangover so bad. Oh, it was so bad. You know, it was embarrassing. I'm serious. Oh, man, you knew that? I'm not kidding. I got my shit together quicker than I have ever before in my life, and I got down there on that bus, and I didn't go out partying for the next 2 weeks. I didn't, but Andre didn't talk to me for the next 2 weeks too. But then as we was out, I'd go in. He was sitting in the bar when I went out to the hotel. So I go to the hotel, I go down to this little market. And I go down there and they've got like live seafood and everything, which is out, you know, right there, how they display it in Japan and in Europe some places. But it's like up under. In Japan, there's no glass on top of it, okay? But in Europe, you know, they've got glass and everything on top of it. But in this damn place, I came up this seafood, and they had the biggest lobster that you have ever seen. So I tell you, I look at my bag and I ain't got enough money, so I got to run back to the hotel and everything. And I'm power walking, boy, I'm ready because I don't want nobody to get that lobster. So Andre's sitting in the bar. He says, you know, so he watches me, you know, when I'm hightailing it across, you know, across the lobby. He says, "Hey, boss." I start dead on my tracks. I mean, he ain't talked to me since you know the hotel thing, and I kept him waiting. "Hey, boss." So I walk over there. I say, "Yeah." He says, "Where you going so quick?" I said, "I'm going up my room to get some money." He says, "What, you going shopping?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Andre, there's this lobster down there at this market. It's about 3 to 4 blocks down outside the hotel." So I tell him, I said, "It's this big. And I said, "I got to go get my money." I said, "I want to talk to you. I'll talk to you later. Let me go get my money." So I'm going off, and he grabs me by the arm and pulls me back, and he says, "Wait a minute." I said, "Andre, I got to go, please. I got to go. I got to get my money. I got to get this lobster. I can get them to steam it, and it would be so good." And I say, "I had nothing but steak tartare and everything else over here. I just want some regular food." And so I start going again. He pulls me back, and he says, "Sherry." And he very seldom called me that. He says, "Sherry, sit down. Have a drink. Let me tell you something. The bigger the lobster, the tougher the meat." And I said, "Andre, I don't care if it tastes like rubber. I want that lobster." And he says, "Sherry, you can't eat it that big." I said, "But Andre, I mean, it's huge." I mean, I'm thinking about, you know, like one hell of a lobster meal, you know. And so he says, "The bigger the lobster, the tougher meat." And he says, "You can't eat it when it's that big. It's no good." I said, "Then why in the hell are they putting it out there in front of me and tempting my ass there?" And he just started laughing. And he says, "You're impossible." He just says, "You're impossible." And I said, "Well, I can't have too many drinks. I don't want to be late for the bus no more." And he started laughing. And then, let me see, when I first got in the business, it was Lillian, Donna Christian Tello, and I believe Bella McIntyre and myself. We went up, you know, to work for Vince. And it was real strange because we were working Madison Square Garden. This is my very first time in Madison Square Garden, you know, and we had the tags. But after we got finished at the hotel, you know, we showered, we went back to the hotel, and so I want to go to Studio 54, you know, so the Giants on the card, everything. So I had met Andre way back then prior to this incident here. I mean, many years ago when I first started, and it was just amazing because I went down the hotel bar and I saw him sitting there. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, Andre," and he says, "Yeah, boss." And he says, and I said, "Andre, do you know where Studio 54 is?" And he says, "Yeah, go there." So he gets up and he stands up, he takes me by the arm, and we went to Studio 54. And it wasn't real crowded or nothing, so, but I got the idea of it, but it was real cool. I liked the upstairs part of it. The dance floor was sweet too. But that was real good, and Andre took me to Studio 54. So I'll never forget
Next thing, Brutus Beefcake.
that. Yeah. Ed Leslie.
Yeah.
The thing that I met Ed and Hogan when they went into the Memphis territory, I mean, years and years ago. And that was my first encounter with Ed Leslie. And at that time, I wasn't even in the business or nothing. I wasn't training or anything. I'd go in South Coliseum, you know, that's where they held the shows. And but anyway, they came into the territory, you know, and they came into the place, and I met them. And wind up as I saw them, then I saw them again at the TV station where they make TV in Memphis. As I go there and watch them do TV tapings, and you know, I got to know them there, and then I got in the business, and then one thing after another happened, you know, and I wind up working with them. And the thing that always makes me think that he's kind of like, you know, he's one of those special people, is because he went through so much, not so much in the wrestling business. I mean, he made his own mark, and he had, you know, a fairly successful career, and he made quite a name for himself. But the main thing when I think of Brutus Beefcake, aside from the fact that he came after me with them damn clippers on TV that night, you know, and always wearing, I mean, he came out wearing the, you know, the spandex, you know, with his hiney hanging out, you know, I mean, that was really cool. I mean, and he was always real flashy, but he always had a smile, you know, always had an upbeat attitude. I never seen him in a bad mood. But when I think of him, aside from the beefcake and the work side, you know, I think of Leslie's side. You know, when he had an accident while he was down in Florida, and it crushed his face, and they had to rebuild it. And I remember we were doing a show, you know, right after his surgery, and he was doing, you know, just doing stuff to keep himself busy. This was even after he had the operation. But I remember we went to Juanita Sapphire and I and Mike McGurk, Leora McGurk's daughter. We were all traveling buddies at that time, before they let Mike go. But we went to Toys R Us, and we spent about $250 on this huge, great, big old gigantic teddy bear. I'm serious. And then we got about 20 balloons, and we tied it around the arms. And we took it, and we couldn't. It was hard to get it into the car. It was so damn huge. Oh God! So we had to stuff the stuff in there, and we had to stuff some of the balloons up front, you know, because there's the three of us. And that great big ass teddy bear. So we went to the hospital. He wasn't in intensive care, but what was the other one? Critical. Because he was still critical at the time. A little bit, but he was conscious when we were in there. I remember that. But we walked in, you know, they let us in, and he was up there laying in the bed, and his face was all bandaged. I mean, it's like his whole head. When he got in the accident, that from what I know, the jet ski came down on him while he had a girl, his girlfriend, on top of his shoulders, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, what had happened was his whole face got crushed. They had to rebuild his whole face, and it was like we teased him afterwards and told him he got a facelift, you know, at an early age, you know, so he's never going to age. But while we were in there, you know, we talked to him, and we had left the teddy bear and the balloons. No, he had just gotten off the critical ward, and he was stable, because we were able to leave the teddy bear and the balloons there. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to leave it. And but he was laying there. What was amazing, after all the stuff he had been through, he was there. He was exercising. He was exercising his arms. He was moving. You know, I mean, the only way that he could communicate was you put your hand in his hand, you know, and he would. They would pinch it like that. But he came back after that, you know. He came back strong. It's a hell of a thing to have to go through for an facelift, don't you think?
How about The Ultimate Warrior?
Ultimate Warrior? Wow. The thing I remember most about Jim Hellwig is that the thing is wonderful. Randy, I was still working with Randy at the time. I mean, we were like really peaking. This was before we went to WrestleMania. But it was when the first time, it was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I believe it was. But anyway, it was when he did that damn press slam on me. And I cannot. Oh, I thought when I was up there, I mean, I was trying to balance myself out, and I was looking down, and then I had to look up. I said, because I'm thinking to myself, God, I can't look down. I'll never land flat. I look down. Oh God, that's a long ass way down. And then boom, he got me, and then he takes his, you know, he goes and he hits the rope, and he hits the rope, and then he gives you that splash. And then on top of that damn thing, he'd get up and he would take his boot and he would put it like in the middle of my back. Ooh! I mean, just enough to knock the breath out of you. But other than that, and then those damn cage matches, boy. I used to love to strip me. He did. I mean, he had this thing for stripping you in public. I mean, he was just amazing. The intensity in that man. He was a chiropractor, you know. He had his own business before he ever got in the wrestling business. He was cool, very intense. Along the same damn lines of Randy Savage. I'm serious. I mean, but that's not a bad thing.
How about Roddy Piper?
Oh, he was cool. I could sit down and I could listen to him for hours and hours and hours. I'm serious. He was working with Teddy Bear. And we used to always do that spot where he wound up kissing me, and he always tell me afterwards, we got to quit meeting this fight. Of course, you know, everybody knows that Roddy Piper's got more kids than anybody in the world. I'm serious. By the same woman, and she's a little bitty thing. I always thought that was amazing, too. But his ring ability and the way that he did interviews, I mean, it was just something that people identified with. People were entertained by Roddy Piper. When people listened to Roddy Piper on TV or when they watched him at a live event, it was amazing the electricity that came across from the audience to Roddy Piper. It was, I mean, it was so electric. I mean, you could feel it. I mean, it could give you goosebumps. I am so serious. And he always had a smile. He always had a good attitude. And he just made you feel good when you're around him and when you talked to him. And he had a way of making you feel, you know, like, you know, I knew when I first met him, he was a big superstar and everything. But he had a way of relaxing you when you talked to him.
How about Jake the Snake, Jake Roberts?
Slime ball? He used to chase me with that damn snake. I kid you not. We were up in Connecticut, I think it was Hartford, and I was working with Rockin' Robin at the time. Anyway, we go out and we do our match and everything. We come back, go back to the dressing room and everything's cool. And I'm sitting back there and I'm cooling down a little bit, so I get undressed and I go to get in the shower and guess what's in the shower? It's that big ass snake. I hated those. I'm serious. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I ran out. I ran to the boys' dressing room and I banged on the door. And I said, Jake Roberts, get your ass out of here. I said, get that snake out of there. I'm going to go get some battery acid and I'm going to pour it on that damn thing. And what's left of it, I'm going to go have me a Power Cowboy boot snake out of it. And I'm serious, boy, but he would, I mean, just on purpose, he would chase me with those things. And I hated him. But I knew Jake for a long, long time. Jake was first, he was, what's the damn name he had? Fred Platt. That was when he first got in the business, and that was around Lafayette, Louisiana. I was living around there at the time. But he was just refereeing at that time, hadn't even started wrestling yet. And amazing what a talent he turned out to be.
How about, we got you managed for a match or two. Not really a wrestler, I guess, when they brought in Zeus.
Zeus? He was a character. When I think about Zeus, I mean, he was kind of intense too, but when you look at him, because his eyes are going like this, so the best way that I could figure out how to do that one was to always look right here. Because in that way I was safe. I was covered either way, I figured. But Zeus was fun because I got to go on Arsenio Hall with him. And Arsenio Hall, he was really cool too. But that whole, I was so nervous that whole interview. But Zeus was just there, and he said, just come in, come in. And after we did the Arsenio Hall show, of course we were we were getting ready for SummerSlam at the time. But Zeus, he was sitting down getting his makeup done one day. He was getting his eyebrows and painted on. And I said, Zeus, what do you like most? I said, you like wrestling or you like Hollywood better, doing movies? He said, man, this is too hard to work. I said, I like Hollywood better. He says, I like being pampered, Sherri. I like when women giving me manicures and when they're, fixing my makeup and stuff. I like it. This is too difficult. But Tiny was one of the nicest people I'd ever met. He was really down to earth.
About Rick Martel.
Rick Martel, everybody always asks me if he's my brother. He's Canadian. and I mean, just because, just happens to be, coincidence with the last name. But when I think about him, Rick the model, he was gorgeous. Of course, so am I. I just never, I could tell people 1,000 times somebody's going to come back and 2 hours later from an arena and ask me that. But the thing that I remember most about him, aside from the fact that, he was, he loved this business very much, but he also loved his wife very much as well. His wife was his top priority. He quit the wrestling business because his wife got very ill. To stay home and take care of her. Always a gentleman, too. And he always, you could follow him behind him in the airport, you walk behind him, and it was just amazing. It was very pleasant walking through the airport, walking behind Rick Martel. Why do you find this so funny?
How about Virgil, when you were managing Ted?
Virgil?
The manager of Virgil.
Oh, Virgil. Well, there's one cut story that I could tell you, but I won't. Not that I won't, but that I can't.
You did, right?
Uh-huh. No, it's a goodie. It wouldn't... No, I can't do that. Should I?
Yeah.
I should. Oh, man, I can't.
Is it from the Titan days, or is it from...
Oh, it's from the Titan days.
Oh,
it's from the Titan days. Oh, I can't do that. He'd kill me. Oh, man, he would.
No, he would.
Oh, yeah, he would.
No, he would.
Oh, that's fine.
Virgil. oh, God. Virgil. He was, he loved following around behind Ted DiBiase. He did. He loved doing that. He liked the part where he didn't have to work very much. When he was just doing the bodyguard gimmick. So, so he could stay hours and hours and hours in the gym and get all buffed up. And it was funny because you look sideways at him, it looked like he had a peanut head. I'm serious. You know how his nose is flat and everything? I'm serious. Look at him next time you see him. See if he don't look like he's got a peanut head. I'm serious. I used to call him all the time. Damn.
How about Bret Hart? Who's the name?
Been through a lot the last couple of years. Had a you can't say anything bad about Bret Hart. I know that I can't. I don't know anything bad about Bret Hart. I know that he and his family, many times when I was working for Titan, his wife would meet me at the airport, and she would take me with their children, and she'd take me to their home. We'd always go out and eat. And his daughter Jade was small at the time, but she was, and she was always really cool to be around. And his wife Jewel was great. very pleasant. I used to have the best time with those guys. And they made Canada a lot easier to bear. Let's say. But Brett, being the wrestling technician that he is, coming from a wrestling family that is, as old as the wrestling business almost. If not, it seems like Steve Hart's been around forever and ever and ever, in the dungeon, and God, so many stories I've heard about that. But I thought Lillian's count was bad, compared to Stu Hart's, I think I had it a little easy, to be honest. But Brett was just excellent at everything he did. I mean, he was just a consummate perfectionist. He was very intense. I remember walking into the dressing rooms. Everybody knows that Brett could draw really, really good, okay? So, while every who was on the tour were targets for Brett, okay? So we get into the dressing rooms, especially when we played a lot of these schools and, where they had gymnasiums or anything like that, and a lot of the arenas where they had the ball teams, they would always have blackboards in the back. So Brett always got there before everybody else. And you can be sure and bet your ass on it. Every time you walked in there, who was on the tour was on that blackboard. I'm serious, and you got the hitman. You were on the hitman's list if you got on that blackboard. And I don't think I ever made the blackboard. I don't remember seeing it. I really don't. But I remember a few other people that did. I'm serious.
After you left WWF, eventually you worked for a small stint at ECW.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that come about?
Kathy Fitzpatrick, Paul Heyman and Todd Gordon were doing ECW then. They were getting it off the ground, much like Southeastern Championship Wrestling, that we're trying to get off the ground here. But Kathy Fitzpatrick was working with these guys, and she called me one day and told me that Paulie wanted to talk to me. So I gave Paulie a call, and that led to me starting to go up there, and that led into me working with Shane Douglas.
Let's start with Paulie. What's your thoughts on Paulie?
Paulie, I had a crush on Paulie a long time ago. Really did. I've always admired him because he had the gift of gab. He could. He's very, very fast. He's right on it. I envy that in him, but he's very good like that, and he's smart business-wise. He took a little nothing company, and started from nothing and built it, and look what he accomplished. And some of WWF's biggest stars today, came out of Paulie's place. It was just amazing, and it was always a fun place to go to. Going to work for Paulie always meant you had a good time. We worked hard and we played hard. That's the easiest way that I can explain it, because when Terry Funk's around, when Paulie's got Terry Funk around, and Shane and Terry were going at it at the time. And I tell you what, there's many nights that I went home. I'm serious, but Terry Funk would just slap the living shit out of me. I'm serious. But what I meant by play hard is that Paulie allowed us to get out there and just have one hell of a time. We could do things with Paulie and for ECW that nobody could do anywhere else. There was too many rules, too many restrictions. And we could get up there, no matter how outrageous we wanted to get, we could do it. And what was wonderful was the Philadelphia fans. Those people, they are strong, hardcore fans. They are really good. They were so receptive to everything that we did. It didn't matter in that building if it was hot, if it was cold. It didn't matter if it was spring, didn't matter if it was fall. Those fans were there. And they were also at the Marriott. Oh, yeah. Oh, there was this one guy that used to come, I remember all the time. I can't remember his name, but he's a little handicapped guy. He was in a wheelchair, and he had a seeing eye dog, a white dog, and he used to always let me pet it. And he was always there. And he always gave me a hug. Always. I seen Kathy Fitzpatrick of Philadelphia. God, how many times I ran up down the road with her. And see, I've met Sabu up there, and I thought that was just really fantastic. You know, I couldn't figure out what made him tick. I'm serious. I mean, I'm serious. I'm thinking. I mean, I got under a table, you know, one night, you know, because I never went to a table at that point, and didn't, you know, for a little while longer. But I got up under that damn table one night. So I'm looking out from up there, and I'm looking up there. I'm trying to imagine what it would be like being under the table, you know, when somebody came crashing through it. And I don't know why. I mean, it was just crazy. But, you know, I've had the same thought when I watched the Dudley Boys, too. You know, I'm serious. But I just, that's got to think.
What's that?
Nothing. I'm just watching you over there.
How about the guy you manage most of the time, Shane? What are your thoughts on Shane?
Shane was going to medical school part-time when I first went up there. And what we used to always tease him about was after he got his doctorate degree, you know, he was Dr. Douglas. We used to always tease him about the guy we hate to wind up with be, you know, half asleep and half awake going into the operating room and seeing Shane Douglas standing there with a mask over his head with that pretty blonde hair. And, you know, you could see you know he was smiling because you see the twinkle in his eye. And then you see him just had the doctor's vest on in his wrestling boots and operating room. Dr. Douglas, you're a surgeon. I'm going to cut you open. But Shane was really cool because he used to always tell us about the stories of what he did to his wife at home. He used to pull the sheet over his wife's head and fart on her. He did, and he was such a good sport about everything. We used to when we went to work for ECW in Philly. We'd all stay at the same hotel, and we'd always, you know, we had breakfast. Of course, you know, there was a buffet, and so while Shane was going to the buffet one day, I'd already went up there and got my food, you know. So, I put some what was it? I think it was like spaghetti sauce or something. I'm gonna put it in the chair. So when he said, "Damn," and he did. And I didn't never do it again. Never. But he was, work-wise, he was one of the easiest people in the world to work with. He never asked anything of me that he wouldn't do himself. He treated me as an equal. He always included me in the matches. Whereas, you know, sometimes people get hot-headed, you know, so they don't think about the manager, and they just leave them standing out there. Shane was never one of those type of people. Because I was real frequent, you know, lucky because frequently in the business, everybody that I work with, more times than not, I never had troubles with anything like that. Cut, I'm lost. I'm on the road.
Ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's ready when we get.
All right.
Good morning.
After ECW, you went to work for WCW. How'd that come about?
Well, Kevin Sullivan had been and Nancy had been working up in ECW, and I'm really good friends with Kevin and Nancy. You know, over the years, but we worked ECW together. Then Kevin got the job working at WCW, so he gave me a call, probably about a month, 2 months to come up and work with him and Dave. Dave was the guy that was supposedly had dyslexia. And, like, David's like, supposed to be like Kevin's brother. And, so, Kevin called me about 3, 4 weeks later or so. And, I came in. That's when, I had to give Paulie my notice. And, Paulie been, 73, 74. I gave Paulie my notice, and you know that up until probably about 3 weeks ago, I didn't talk to Paulie in all that time. because I thought I had to meet with him because I went to work for WCW and I was working. I did an angle up there. And but it was a business decision, you know. But I understand why Paulie got mad now. I mean, I didn't understand then, but I do understand now. Anyway, I went to work up there, and the thing with Kevin and Dave didn't work out. They wanted me to do more like a kind of morbid character, but it didn't work out. So, and then I started working with Flair, and that went on seemed like forever and ever. I mean, he's just a man. He's so elegant, and he's so handsome. He's just Ric Flair. Ric Flair says it all. I mean, there's just the two words that describe him. Because there's one and only Nature Boy. I would say, whoa! See, I don't have any voice right now.
And then what? Just the suit you managed for most of the years. I mean, they put you with Harlem Heat after it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Booker and Steve?
Oh God. Well, Booker and Steve, when they first put us together, they were going to put me with Ron Simmons before that, and that's when Ron was here. But that was around. They kept thinking, you know, about the O.J. Simpson, you know, Nicole Brown Simpson thing. So they decided that was in poor taste. So they didn't. So instead of putting me with one black man, they put me with two. And Booker and Stevie became my friends. I trusted them with my life. You know, they were like my brothers, and still are to this day. I mean, I talked to Stevie Ray before he went on his Europe tour, and just talked to Booker, you know, working with WWF. But I was maid of honor at Booker's wedding, and Booker T gave me away at my wedding. And that, what a concept, both of us are divorced now. What does that tell you? But the thing I remember most about Stevie is that his little girl, he loved to listen to him imitate his little girl. He would tell me, you know, what she was doing, you know, how he said, you know, Daddy this and Daddy that. He said, but he was really, really cool about that. And he loved bringing his daughter around on the road, and she always visited me and said hello when she came around. But they were just two of the best talents, and two of the nicest men I think I've ever met in my life.
During the run, they had a lengthy feud with the Nasty Boys. Any remembrances of that?
The Nasty Boys. That's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, you remember how the guys used to do the armpit? I used to always tell Brian, got me, you need to shave under your arms. You know, I mean, just something, and they would not wear deodorant. I mean, just because of that. And they would put your face in their armpit. Oh, it was crazy. We had a show in Memphis, and Harlem Heat was working the Nasty Boys, and it was like Falls County anywhere. I mean, we went through the concession stand. I mean, by the time we got finished, everybody was covered in everything but sweat and blood. I am not kidding. Billy Bob, come back to house. What are you doing? Get up from there. By the time we got finished with that match, everybody had mustard ketchup and whatever else. I think there was some pickle relish there. I mean, it was on everybody, including me. I had felt that I was wearing those damn high boots that came up to here. And them things were like this tall. And I mean, they don't look very tall. They make you look tall. But when you fall on your ass out of those things, it feels like 10 feet up in the air. I'm not kidding. But the Nasties were really, really good. Through the years, I've known both of them. I've seen them go through one calamity after another, but they always seem to bounce back. I mean, it's like they've got staying power. They come from the old school. And they're not afraid to go out and take a chance. I mean, they built their whole career on taking chances. I know that they love this business, they respect this business, and there's not too much that they wouldn't try for or do for this business. That's a fact. It's true. It's true.
The other big angle they had you in, of course, was with Robert Fuller, Colonel Parker, with the whole marriage angle.
Oh, wasn't that a good one?
What are your thoughts and remembrances on that whole time?
I was supposed to get a wedding. I didn't get a wedding. I didn't know he was a compulsive gambler. He turned out to be a compulsive gambler, lost all his money in Las Vegas, supposedly. I personally think he spent on music. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, why else would somebody come out and interrupt a wedding? Now, maybe, you want some? Maybe there was kind of like a blessing in disguise. It's a little hot. Don't fight me. I told you. Robert Parker has got to be one of the funniest men that I think that I have ever met. I mean, the character Colonel Parker, I was sitting down and I asked him, I said, you know, how'd you come up with this? And he told me to watch Foghorn Leghorn on the weekend. And it was just amazing. Look, it's warm, okay? All right, you have some warm. It's going to be hot, though. But we lived in the same apartment complex in Atlanta. And his was not like on the top floor, and you could, you know, see the interstate. And when it snowed in Atlanta, you know, you could go up there and have a beautiful view. But he always had lots of plants and stuff like that around. He was, I worked for him as a promoter years ago, Candy Devine and I. We were on the way from Nashville. Candy rented a rental car, and the damn thing broke down. We had to hitchhike from about 100 miles outside of Birmingham. A semi-truck picked us up and delivered us to the front of the Boutwell Auditorium in Birmingham. I mean, delivered us right to the front door. I'm not kidding. I've never in my life been so embarrassed. I finished working that night. We rode back up with Colonel Parker and, well, it was Robert. He was working as Robert Fuller, and Jimmy Golden. And they wouldn't let us go to the bathroom. I mean, why you guys got to do that? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, you get people in the car. I mean, they had a Gatorade bottle up there. They were going to the bathroom in. Of course, from what I heard, you know, that wasn't an impossible thing for them. Of course, I don't know. I suppose if you talk to any of his wives, they could put them. Really not sure, you know. And he's got Robert Fuller, and then, you know, I met him at various other independent things, and I just saw him at Terry Gordy's tribute. And he looks as good as always. I mean, he doesn't change. It's strange about him. You look at men, they grow old so gracefully. Now, Parker's got the most beautiful hair. And Eric Bischoff, who is absolutely the most biggest prick that I have ever met in my life. I swear. I mean, he even had a beautiful set of great, you know, I mean, he has the most beautiful salt and pepper hair. You know, there's no way to fake that or to dye it or to get that would come naturally. But Parker's got the most beautiful hair. He really does. He's just wavy and all that. But he was always really cool. He was real funny. He's always in an upbeat mood. Never seen him negative. If I did something to hurt myself, he'd say, well, Sherri, you know, you could have stopped it. All you had to have done was not do it. You know, so it was kind of like one of those things. But, you know, he was, as far as working with him, he was always very helpful. Any advice he could give me, or any health-wise, working-wise, he would always do it. Personal-wise, he told me that I needed to re-examine the way that I looked at people, and I needed to take off my rose-colored sunglasses. He told me I looked at things in too much of a naive way, unrealistically, was one.
How about, let me briefly touch on that, Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff? I have never in my life met such a low-life, disgusting person. He is contradictory to what he says. He is non-professional. He is non-sympathetic. He has no heart. He's a fucking shark. He's a fucking piranha. He is a leech. Let me see if I can think of any other one besides being just a total asshole. The first time that I came in contact with Eric Bischoff was right before I left AWA. He came in up there as an announcer. He had been selling, Billy Bob, come back up here, hold on a minute. He's going to try to climb up your leg with him. Watch him climb up your leg. Watch. See? He likes that human contact. And I told you you're big too, so he likes that part. First time I met Eric was, like I said, AWA. He come in, he had been selling like steaks and stuff like that off of a meat truck, from what they told me. And when the first time I looked at him, I said, well, guess there's another asshole in the business. I mean, because he didn't go out, he didn't wrestle, he didn't do anything to pay any kind of dues. I mean, he just he got the spot. He wanted to get in on the announcing part. Everybody learned later that Eric's real thing in life was to be in front of the camera, to have the scenarios that were happening on the show surrounding him. I mean, he is no Vince McMahon. I mean, people can imitate him, but they can never duplicate him. I mean, Vince is just, he's one person. Eric Bischoff is totally the opposite. He's a very unfair person, because some things happened to me while I was there, and I saw him giving everybody else chances, and I never got one. Call it resentment, call it jealousy, call it whatever the fuck you want to. I really don't care. But the fact of the matter is, he tolerated everybody else's bullshit. He wasn't a very fair man. And since he's not working for Turner no more, and the company did go belly up, and then the Vince Russo thing came in there, that just goes to show you, promoters do not belong in the ring. You concentrate on who is on your roster, not on putting yourself over in front of the camera. There's only one person that can do that, and that's Vince. And that's because he's got money to do it and get it over with. He knows how to. You don't know how to, Barry, which shows why HCW is no longer in existence. Get it?
Real briefly, a couple other people from that era. Sting.
Sting? I like Sting. He was always really cool. A couple of times he wasn't able, we were doing TV, he wasn't able to get to a beauty shop or at home have his hair done. He had to bleach it, so I used to bleach his hair out for him. He was really good. He was just a good guy. I didn't know him on a personal level, just more on a business level. I know that a couple of times from the gym, I wanted a pair of the tennis shoes he sold there, the ones with the Automax. But anyway, the real cool looking little wrestling boot looks like a boxing boot, but it's a wrestling boot. I mean, it's just very comfortable, but it was like a real high top tennis shoe. But he bought me a couple of those, a couple of pairs of those. One time, he went out of his way to get them for me. When I first started work with WCW, they didn't know, they were going to be Randall and Charlotte at the pay-per-view. They didn't know which way they were going to go. So they finally decided to put me in Flair, and we did the screw job on Sting there when I came up with a Sting makeup. And the thing that was amazing about Sting was that night, during the match, he come out of the ring, and he cross-bodied me. I mean, Sting's a big, pretty big guy. I mean, I'm like 135, 140 pounds. I mean, I was maybe like 150, but, compared to that, he's still a relatively big guy. And when he came out, he cross-bodied me from, inside the ring. And when I went back, I hit my head on the damn guardrail. I had the biggest edge on the back of my head for the longest time. They thought I had a little bit of a concussion, but I lay there for so long, and it looked like they didn't know if there was blood around my head or not, because it kind of looked like it was, because it looked like there was a dark puddle, but there was still something there. But I got up. They knew, if I got up, I was okay. And I was able to go on. But we wound up putting the screw on Sting at that match, and I wound up going with Ric Flair. But Sting was always really cool. He was always gentle. He was always a gentleman. Never out of line. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a curse word come out of Sting's mouth. I guess I should take lessons.
How about the Steiner brothers?
I didn't know them very well. I know that Rick Steiner, I used to like it when I was doing my characters in WWF, because I always wore garter belts and stuff like that. I mean, what that had to do with anything, I don't know, but that always seemed to cheer him up, when we do that, or if I wear garter belts in WCW, he kind of liked that too. So, but he was really, really cool. I mean, Rick just had that smile. Scott, I didn't get that close to him. He went on to become Papa Pump, right?
Yeah.
But he started wearing that thing with the, what's the thing called that you put over the top of your head?
I don't know what
the
it's
thing
called.
that he wears.
That thing,
Well, it's like a Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like
but both those guys were always so muscular and everything. Work-wise, our paths never crossed. But, you know, they were just in general just really good guys. They stayed in the gym a whole lot. Very business-oriented.
that. Yeah. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, they came in pretty
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
How was Scott? Was Scott any different from, since you knew him
For the
very early?
NWA days?
You knew him back very early in his career. Was he any different now in the...
Yeah, he was. He was more self-confident. He had matured in the business, and he's become a phenomenal worker. Him and Nash both. I didn't know Nash prior to them coming in as the outsiders, but they did. As a tag team, you know, they were just excellent out there. They went over really well. The NWO thing that went really well. I think that would have continued to do good if they wouldn't have done spin-offs, because everybody, they started doing so many different kinds of groups that people got confused. I think the people weren't able to keep up with the red NWO, the black NWO, and there were just, you know, they started, you know, at that particular time, I think they just got to where everything started going a little bit crazy. I mean, with Hogan in there on the mix, I mean, everything was going good, but still, you know, there were just so many characters and everybody starting to do it. Like I said, you know, it was confusing to people and they weren't clear on actually what was going on. I mean, because I stand out in the arena sometimes and I'll put some camouflage on or something, you know, so nobody knows me, and I'll listen, you know, to what they say. And I know other people do that, and I've found over the years that's wound up being a good thing for me because I can get it from the fan's point of view. I can look at it from me as a fan. But when you go out and you hear the different people in the different areas and the different venues, what they like and what they think, you know, it makes a big difference. It really does, and I think the more people do that, you know, they might have a better understanding of what the people actually want instead of assuming what they want. But then again, Vince has never had to worry about that because most of his ideas have always been good and they've always been money makers. Where Eric Bischoff didn't have the ability to do it. I mean, case in point, Brian Pillman, God rest his soul. If Eric Bischoff would have had half the brains he claimed he had, he would have found a way to push Brian Pillman. Case in point, Chris Jericho. Look at the phenomenal talent he has become. Eric, come on. Why couldn't you see that? Which goes to show you, Vince was better than you once again. Okay, I'll say, okay, give me another example of somebody that,
A bunch of
another, huh?
Benoit.
Yeah, look at Benoit. I mean, they couldn't do a thing with Benoit down there. And look at what they did up there. I mean, Vince made them superstars overnight. Of course, Vince has the mental ability and brains to do it. You don't. Go back to selling meat off the truck. You definitely don't belong in the wrestling business. And I really do hope you get a next information because you'll go belly up again, and that'll just be another blow to your inheritance.
When, so I guess it was 97 when you left WCW, had to start working a lot of indies, I guess, independents. Was it tough adjusting, real tough adjusting from a full-time job at a major company to working on indies?
Yeah, it is, but the thing that about working in independents is that the locker rooms are much more calmer. They're much more relaxed. I mean, you could go into IWA locker room for Ian Rotten in Charlestown, Indiana. You could go into any show for Danny DeMont out of Baltimore. You could go into an indie show for Dan Mize out of Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, you could go pretty much into any independent, and you're going to find that the dressing room is much more calmer. They're much more laid back. You know, the pressure, excuse me, the pressure is not there that you have at the bigger companies. The paychecks are always there. That's a guarantee every week. But I think working at independents, that takes you back, number one, to where you came from, where you started out. Number two, when you work the independents, that makes you think of what it's like working for the big companies, but it also makes you appreciate when you do get to work for the big companies. The independents they get with you more personal. You can get closer to the fans, which is something, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Vince, but, you know, the superstars that work for WWF, they're pretty much untouchable by the fans. The upside to the independents is that you get closer to the fans. You can go out and you can have conversations with the fans. You can go out and mingle with them, and, you know, they can get with you on a more personal level, which is something I think that Vince has taken away. But, you know, for a big company, you know, that may be a good thing, but the fans like interacting with the wrestlers. I mean, they like it. I mean, it makes them feel like they are a part of the show. It's like being in the ring. When, you know, when I pick out somebody from ringside, you know, some little heckler, he's on you. But I'll pick out somebody from ringside, you know, and I mean, the fans like that because it makes them feel like they're a part of the show. It makes them feel like, you know, after they paid their hard-earned money to come in there and see us, and then, you know, we have the courtesy to make them a part of the show. They appreciate that. I mean, even when you go out and just shake their hand if you're going to the ring, they appreciate that. You cannot forget the fans because the fans are the ones that put us in the spot that we're in at this time. The fans are the ones that buy the tickets. The fans are the ones that you want to be satisfied and leave at night with a smile. You know, I mean, when I go to work and when I finish at night, I usually have a real good feeling in my stomach when I work the independents because all the fans, they leave happy. They leave happy that I know that I've done my job the way that I'm supposed to. Where you going, Billy Bob? He wants to eat your paper. He won't come to me now. He does it on you. Put your arm up. He'll go back down. He's going to try to get over there on the camera. Do you want me to get him?
That's right. He's all right.
Okay.
All right. Just a couple of just general questions. Basically, you touched on some of your personal life relationships. How hard was it to keep, you know, relationships going by being on the road all, you know, so many days a year?
For me, it was virtually impossible because it seemed like I know that there must be some strong men out there, but apparently I haven't met any. It seemed like all the people, all the men, you know, all the relationships that I've had in the business, they seem to think for some ungodly reason that they can compete with the wrestling business. I guess if they were secure in themselves, that they would have not felt insecure around my business. But they always thought that they had to compare themselves, or that they had to compete, if you will. And there's just no competing with my job. I mean, no matter where, if I'm working in independent or if I'm working for a big company, I mean, there's just no competing with that. And I guess a good friend of mine out in California, Terry, told me one time, he said, Sherri, you just got to stick with the person that brought you to the dance, which means when you try to get away from the wrestling business, you know, that's not where you made your money. The wrestling business has been good to me, but he's basically trying to tell me, they stick with wrestling. That's where you've always made your money. That's where you're going to make your money again. So I stick with wrestling. I started sticking back with wrestling and started doing more. That's why I started doing interviews with, like, you know, like you guys. I mean, I've never done a shoot interview with anybody else. I mean, but you guys are cool, so that's worked out a lot better too. When, you know, because I met you guys at Ian's show, so that was a really good thing.
Basically, since
You're welcome.
talking like that, since you're on the road with so much, were you ever involved in any relationships with any of the boys? I mean, since you have a similar lifestyle, similar.
It would be very hard for me to have a relationship other than something like a boyfriend, not a boyfriend, a big brother. I've got lots of big brothers in the business. Excuse me for a minute.
All right. What are your thoughts on women's wrestling today, where it's more basically TNA than like athleticism?
Yeah, it is, but there's some of the girls out there. I touched on boob jobs earlier. I mean, it's, I'm always afraid for the girls, you know, when they get breast implants, because it happened to Joni China one night. You know, she went in and, you know, one of her implants ruptured. The girls in the business, China's turned out to be very excellent. Vince has got some girls up there that work. He's got Jacqueline, Ivory. Ivory's just excellent. She was Tina Ferrari, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Glow. I mean, she did really good. That came down from the Memphis area. I mean, I worked with her a couple of times. You know, when I was working for Vince, I went down there to work. She dislocated my jaw one night and put it back in the next night. I mean, it was just amazing, you know. But she was just one hell of a talent. She's a very stiff lady, and she works really stiff, you know. But she's good. She knows. I think the women that Vince has up there, he's done excellent with them. All of those guys can wrestle. I got no problems with women coming into the business, being managers and filling tips in, as long as they can work. If they can't work, then the only thing that got them there was tips in. But I have all the respect for the world for them. You know, I just want them to learn how to work, because, you know, what they do, it reflects back on everyone else. But that's been all through wrestling. I mean, if there's one bad apple in the bunch, it's going to reflect on everyone else. So I try to watch what I do. I didn't used to. I really used to have it. You know, I didn't care. I was kind of a little wildcat. But as I got older, I just, you know, I stopped and I looked at what I was doing, and I realized what I did reflected back on others. And I just hope that the women that come into the business, you know, after these ladies now at this point in time, I just hope that they remember that and conduct themselves as ladies and try to remember that they are in the wrestling business. Granted, they're working around a bunch of gorgeous men, but what they do reflects on television.
Speaking of the whole TNA, do you have any thoughts on like Missy Hyatt and Tammy Sitch with the they have like the porno website now, basically?
I haven't seen it. And I've got better things to do with my time than to search the web and watch for women that are doing pornography. You know, I mean, in the past, I've had my thing with that, but I was very young. I can't change what I did in the past, but I can certainly make better decisions on what I do in the future. I assume when they made the decision to do these things, that there was a reason, or whatever it is. I don't know. I haven't talked to either one of them. But, again, what they do, and since they are part of the wrestling business, it reflects back on everyone.
You ever think an all-women's federation could work in the United States, like it does in Japan?
No, because Moolah tried it. Several people have tried it, and it didn't work. Maybe if it was ran in a different way, maybe it could. But I really don't see it.
Yeah. Still a couple of other women's wrestlers' names out in my thoughts. Lita.
Lita, I love Lita. I mean, seriously, she's phenomenal. I've met Lita at Independent and down in Mobile, Alabama, and she was one of the most polite, sweetest, and talented women that I have ever met in my life. I am not kidding. And she's nice on top of it. She's got a heart bigger than her person. I am not kidding. I went to a Raw taping in Lexington not long ago, about 3-4 weeks ago, as a matter of fact. And when they started the show, I'd seen her backstage, and she gave me a real big hug and everything. And then when we were sitting out at ringside, we got in the front row seat, which is something that I never got to do, is sit ringside. I mean, I bought a ticket. I seriously did, because I wanted to sit ringside. And it was just, I wanted to feel that electricity, you know, that outside that the fans feel, you know, when they're watching, you know, the guys come in. But they were doing things, or Vince was making that it was right before the last case of it was like right before Survivor Series they were getting ready for it. But God bless her, she came after, after they got through doing the skill and everything, she came up and she gave me a hug at ringside. And Paul White did as well. And so, as far as Lita goes, I mean, she's one in a million. She really is. She has got such a long career ahead of her.
How about China?
China, she was always very nice to me, always very professional. I worried about her, like I said, when she had her ruptured, boob. But she, from what I heard, she went to the emergency room 45 minutes, an hour later. I mean, she was out there. So apparently, when one of the breasts do rupture, it's they can repair it real quickly, and with the saline stuff, it's not anything that can get in your body and hurt you now. She was always really, really nice to me, even when I first met her. She was really, really nice.
About Luna Vachon.
Looney. Oh, God. I went to, at 86, I went to Japan with Luna Vachon. And Luna Lockett, the butcher. And the butcher, he could sing. Looney, I mean, she's an animal. I mean, I say that lovingly. I really do, because Luna, I've been up and down the road with Luna. The Japan trip, her and Locke, they had conflicting personalities. So her and Locke would kind of get into it a little bit. So I would take the Locke, and we would go down to Denny's and drink these little wine coolers. And Japan, that's all you can do, because I mean, you're in Japan. Nobody else speaks English, so and you have to rely on the small group that you're there with. Luna and I used to have a real good time. The guy that was our translator's name was Mickey Ibaragi. And, we used to, it's not that we hated him, we just liked doing things to him. So what we did one day when he was sleeping, and he was sleeping with his shoes off, So we painted his toenails and his fingernails blue, and we wouldn't give him any fingernail polish removed. We did this because he took us out to eat one time, and he ordered for us, and we told him, we just wanted vegetables or just chicken, the way they stir-fried chicken and stuff over there, or noodles. But he ordered us some food, what they have this perception as food, and it had the most terrible smell, and it had to. I couldn't get past the smell. It's oh God, it was terrible. And then he would. I got really mad at him because I was going through a real hard thing. My body was having a few changes at the time, and I was on birth control pills, and it was really, really bad, and I couldn't. They were just so strong, and it just made me go gaga. And they really do that. And I got really mad because I thought they were trying to put the screws to me. And I wanted my passport back. Because you couldn't go out around the city or in any of the cities where the policemen were stopping you because you weren't Japanese. And so they were always checking your passport and stuff like that. But I got mad at him and I wanted my passport. And he gave me a rough time. That's why we started pulling ribs on him and stuff like that. Let's see, what was one of the other things I did to him? We put itching powder on him. I'm serious. Just put it on him. Just to be mean. He would come out during the girls' matches, and Luna and Locke would have those long fingernails. They would just put the nails on there. They wouldn't go get them done. They just super glue them on there and paint them orange. So and they were sharp. I'm not kidding you. And so Luna and Locke would go out there with these little Japanese girls at night, when we do the shows. And I'm not kidding. And you could see the little Japanese girls when they come back. It's like somebody had taken razors to their back. And you could hear the doctor back there pouring alcohol and antiseptics, on the girls' backs. And Looney would get back from out there. She should have fucking listened. But other than the fact that I'm just glad I'm not Japanese and working against her. I have worked against her, and God bless her. She never did that to me. She never raised a blade in my back. Never did that. But she did when she got married today. She got married on Halloween. I was doing TV, so I couldn't go to her wedding. But Sean, wherever you at, I love you, girl. I miss you very much. You have a place in my heart forever. My home is always open to you. I love it, girl.
You touched on the Indies. There's just a couple of people you work for, if you have any thoughts. Ian Rotten.
Ian Rotten is one of the most phenomenal people in the world. He is so extreme in his personal life as well as his professional life. He has some of the best organized independents that I have ever worked on. I have more fun when I go work for Ian Rotten than anyone because of the fact that he lets me do things that other promoters would not even consider letting me do. I had a hardcore match with Debbie Combs working for Ian, and it was one of the most funnest matches I've ever had in my life. Debbie is a consummate professional. She was one of the ladies that never got a real big break. She's second generation daughter of Cora Combs. And I tell you what, if Debbie should have got, she should have went to work for a big company. She really should have. Because, I mean, the girl, she's very talented. She comes from small school. And she's second generation. And she's one of the hardest working women I've ever met in my life. She's working she got a job, went to police academy in Nashville, Tennessee. She's working in the booking department. So boys, whoever you are out there, do not think and try or anything else in Nashville, Tennessee. Debbie Combs will be there to meet you in booking. So please behave yourself, boys and girls. She's going to be there waiting for you. And she takes her job very seriously. She's very, very proud of that. And don't blame her. She's happy. She's very.
Another guy you work for, Corporal Punishment, Danny up in Maryland.
Oh, Danny. Danny and Ian, what I noticed about their companies, even though ran very differently, whereas Danny is basically just technical wrestling school and high flying stuff, and whereas Ian is very hardcore. Danny's students, every time I go up there, just like in Ian's school, they always come up and they're very respectful. They're very kind, and they always stop what they're doing to come and introduce themselves if I haven't met them before, or just to come up and say hello. Each and every one of them, just like at Ian's school. And that's another thing that's really cool about the independents, because Danny's school and Ian's school, both of these guys are giving talent that would otherwise have no place else to go. They're giving them a chance to have a place to come and not only train, but a place to come and work, learn how to work, how to learn ring psychology. Because a lot of the kids, like the kids I'm talking about, you think those kids that are up there, they're going through the hard training, but they're not paying any dues. They are not. And people are very resentful about that. And these kids are going to find out that when they try to get trained. But getting back to Ian and Danny, these guys, they give new kids chances. They give the new talent a place to come, a place to work, a place to learn what wrestling is really about, instead of all of the hype. What everyone sees when they watch this show, you guys see the finished product. You do not see everything that goes into running a show like Vince does. You guys do not see the hard miles, the hard work that the independent promoters do and go through in order to bring a very good professional show to you. Regardless of what kind of wrestling it is, whether it's a hardcore or it's just a regular, training. I don't mean to say just regular training because that's terrible. But,
I think you know what you mean, though.
Yeah, you think so? I hope you guys know what I mean. But there's just such a difference. But my point that I'm trying to make is that the people, that if it weren't for independent promoters like Danny DeMont, Corporal Punishment, Ian Rotten, Dan Mize down in Birmingham, and Matt Holden over in Georgia, and and all the other independents. If it weren't for these guys, the young kids would have no place to go. They would not have any way, shape, or form to learn the things that you need to learn in order to succeed in the wrestling business. And a lot of the kids, whether they succeed, it's just the thrill of a life for them to get in there and to be able to work. It really is, and it's very important, because if there are no independent promoters and no places for these kids to learn, there's going to be a future in wrestling.
All that, you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now here with us?
Yeah. I met up with Donnie Prater. His biggest thing is, it's me, it's Donnie B. You know, I mean, that's sometimes a takeoff from Dallas Page, but it's not. Because Donnie Prater, like that, I mean, Donnie is a one and only person. I mean, he is so focused. He is so focused. And when I came, he calls me on the phone and he says, Sherri, I've just opened a new promotion. I want you to come up and work for me. And I said, okay. And he says, now, on another note, I'd like for you to come up and work for me. I said, okay. And I said, on another note, I'd like for you to come up and work for me. I said, okay. He says, on another note, I'd like for you to come up and work in the company with me. And I said, huh? I did. And he says, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come up and be assistant. And I said, well, Donnie, this is a really big step considering the fact that I would have to relocate in order to do this. And he says, okay, come up. Let me run this by you. Let me tell you what I've got and meet Theodore Steyer, the president, and let's see what we can do with this. And I said, okay. So I came up in about the 20th of October. I sat down with Donnie Prater and Theodore Steyer, and they introduced me to Southeastern Championship Wrestling. And during this deal, they sold me, and I believe with all my heart that this company can go. Southeastern Championship Wrestling is like every other, it's no different. It's no different than IWA. It's no different than Danny DeMont, Maryland Championship Wrestling. It is no different than Dan Mize' school down in Birmingham, Alabama. It is no different. But the thing is, this is the first time that I've been on the other side. So it's quite a change because I'm beginning to see things in another light. You know, I don't particularly like being in the office. You know, I really don't. But Southeastern Championship Wrestling, my hopes and dreams for the future, as well as Donnie Prater and Theodore Steyer, what we hope to accomplish here is to have an organization where the wrestlers can come, the boys can come and work and make a payday and have a good time and know that this is what wrestling is all about. What we hope to accomplish here, again, is have our own wrestling academy, which we are looking for a facility now, where we can have it here in the Lexington area. That way we can give something back to the community. And I had taken so much from the wrestling business for so long, this way I'll be able to give something back. And opening a developmental center for us here, we hope to have some of the local kids around here. Like, I mean, who's to say that another Macho Man Randy Savage is not just waiting out there, you know, just looking for a way or an angle to get into this or to find a training academy where they can train. I mean, if we could do that here and run our shows, we're hoping to get up to run after the new year. We're hoping to run at least 4 shows a month and eventually add more too. And in content with that, working with Ian Rotten and the other promoters around the area so that we can keep all the talent fresh and keep everybody working. At the same time, in us doing this will give us a product to bring to the people that's always going to be fresh. I mean, you've got your big names. They've made superstardom. But what's important now is we don't do something to help the kids that are coming into the business now, that want and have hunger. They have that want to succeed in this business. They have the hunger that just needs guidance. And that's where Southeastern Championship Wrestling comes in, because we have a place here and we'll have the academy where we'll give them that opportunity. And it'll give them the chance to say, if they don't make it, I tried. You know, I gave it everything I had. I tried. But that's okay. You tried. the point is, what we want to do is just give them the opportunity to do it. And I think with my guys, if I didn't believe in Southeastern Championship Wrestling and in Donnie Prater and Theodore Starr and more importantly in myself, we have the ability to make this jump. And I just really think, I really think in my heart that with everything that we're doing, it's going to wind up being a very nice little company here. And who knows, we might even get up there with the likes of Ian Rotten and Maryland Championship Wrestling. You know, I mean, who knows? Look at Ian Rotten. I mean, look at all the stuff he went through with the athletic commission here in Kentucky. I mean, look at all the crap he went through just to keep his company afloat. I mean, and his wife back then, and Danny DeMont. I mean, look at all the struggle that those guys had to go through. Dan Mike down in Alabama. I mean, all of these guys, they tried and they succeeded. To succeed with keeping a business open is over 1 or 2 years to me. I mean, Danny's been in business how many years?
3 years.
3 years. I mean, successfully, and with a training center. Ian Rotten with a training center. Dan Mize with a training center. These guys develop the new talent. They give the kids a chance to go somewhere. They have their independent shows, and they book the students on these shows, which teaches them through psychology, how to react in front of a crowd. If you're just going into a training center and you're just getting trained, there's no way that you can learn how to react to the crowd or read psychology. You can't do it. You got to learn in front of a crowd. With the independent, with the training academies, this is what the students have. This is what these independent promoters work with in order to give the public the next superstars of the next generation. With training academies and with independent promotion. If we didn't have those, I mean, there's not going to be any more. I mean, wrestling would come to a halt. It really would. Because the people that are in wrestling and the superstars that are there, there'll come a time when they have to pass the torch to someone. And if it's not for independent promoters and training academies, there's not going to be anyone to pass it to.
So, closing note, do you have any final words to say to your fans out there?
Oh, man. Thanks for all the years. I'm not finished. Hopefully, Southeastern, I'll be able to promote some new superstars. I mean, this is a really important thing for me. The fans have always been behind me, whether they were calling me a bitch or calling me by my name. They've been there, regardless of whether I was good or I was bad. But regardless of whether I was good or I was bad, they were always there. If it weren't for the fans, I would not be where I am. If it weren't for the fans, I would never have gotten to the high peaks in wrestling that I did in WCW and WWF and the European fans as well. I mean, it's just the people all over the world. I just want you guys to know that I didn't forget where I come from, and I'll always be here. And we're not finished yet.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.